From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
I can't talk at the same time when the music's playing. I can't get it out.
Well, music's not playing.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all late breaking news the past couple of days, wrapping up last week's news, exposing the fake news, giving you the news you never saw before. All the things that they don't want you to see, we wrap that all up. We give it to you, show it to you, let you know for yourself so you can decide where the real news is. If you like what you see here, folks, crush the share, crush the follow. Jump over to smithradio.com or smithtv.com. All the stuff is all there. The show's there live. You can direct your friends and your family. Say, hey, man, check this show out. These guys are the new news media. These guys are making it happen. It's pretty awesome. We're on the Twitters, the YouTubes. If you look down at the bottom of the screen underneath me is at Brian P. Smith, SMYTH, and under Carrie is at Smith Radio on the Twitters, the Facebooks. We got Mr. Producer manning the, or womaning.
How dare you?
Mr. Producer is manning our Instagram account.
Okay.
So putting up a lot new, more pictures, a lot of things that are going on and hashtagging them and working that out because Carrie and I seem to be busy with everything else.
Right.
So appreciate that very, very much. And before we get too further into the show, happy New Year, Carrie.
Oh, Happy New Year. I guess this will be the last time we see each other for the year.
The whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I won't see you until next year.
Okay. January 30th today, right? All right.
Yes, that is today. Do you do the New Year's resolution thing?
I think I'm going to lose some weight.
Okay.
I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get all buff for you guys, so just be watching out for that.
Okay.
I'll give you guys updates. I'll let you know how it goes.
Cool.
So I'm going to pump you up.
I showed my kids that.
Yeah.
From SNL just a
Hans
couple weeks
and
ago.
Franz,
Hans and
yeah.
Franz.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was hysterical. They're like, Daddy, that's fake. I said, I know. It's supposed to be.
They're making fun of Arnold Schwarzenegger. When he first debuted, he had a movie called Pumping Iron.
Yes. Yeah. Pumping Iron.
And it was so ridiculous that, of course, Saturday Night Live made fun of it, and it was actually hilarious, especially if you know what they were making fun of.
Right. And the accent and everything else.
Right.
No, that was Hollywood. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the West Coast of muscle-bound guys, and Lou Ferrigno, as you know him better, is the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
He was the East Coast muscle-bound guy. And there was this East Coast, West Coast thing, and because Lou Ferrigno was deaf and did not speak.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, completely deaf.
Okay.
It did not speak very well. That's why you didn't see him speak much.
Oh, I thought he was foreign.
No.
Okay.
You
learn something I had no idea.
No, but he was deaf, so he didn't really speak very well. However, Arnold did live out in La La Land, and he didn't speak very well either, but that didn't deter Hollywood. They wanted to win it, the East Coast, West Coast war anyways.
Okay.
So with that being said, my New Year's resolution today at church, they give us these stickers, and it says, I commit to shift into
gear.
Gear in the new year.
Oh, it rhymes. Yeah. Okay. Shift into gear. So is that like a driving thing? You become a race car driver? Or?
Yeah, he had it was the children's minister that did the service today, and he had and all the kids were there too, so he had to entertain the kids and the parents. But anyways, yeah, so the whole thing is shifting into gear in the new year to make your relationship stronger in Christ and shifting gears. That was the whole sermon.
Okay.
And so I said, you know what? Yes, I absolutely need to work on that. And my goal will be to read the Bible weekly because I don't do that.
All right.
Yeah. So see how that works out.
Let me know what you learn.
You might be hearing it on the show in my scopes more often. Which is good.
That'll be good.
That'd be good.
No, that'd be really good.
Anyways, all right, let's get rock and rolling. Folks, if this is the first time been on the show, seen the scopes or seen the show, this is Military Veteran Talk Radio. Back in the 90s, Kerry was in the Marine Corps, and back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force. We're cousins, but some people call us brothers.
They just call us the Smith Brothers.
Smith Brothers.
We're okay with that.
Cool, no big deal. And we've been talking politics for at least 15 years, maybe even longer. And about 5 years ago, we decided that we needed to start document these conversations that we'd have about 2-3 hours long so that they weren't lost into the ether, either for our kids or somebody 1,000 years ago or 1,000 years from now they'll find out.
Don't let them know about the time machine. Okay, come on, man.
Okay. That people from 1,000 years from now would look back and say, oh, that's how the Democrats destroyed America. Oh, okay. And then Donald Trump started to run for office, and that's when we got excited, and we changed our tune and went the other way with it. And lo and behold, we got Donald Trump. So this year was our first year, 2018, where we did video and audio. So if you want to listen to show audio over again and again, go to iHeartRadio. Just search either Smith Space Radio or go to iHeart Smith Radio or smithradio.com. iHeartSmithradio.com. And that's a link that I created to go straight there.
Cool.
And with that being said, today we're going to talk about some of the folks in our private message meetup group. And by the way, if you are on Patreon and you decided you want to become a Patreon of Smith Radio, you can join our private Smith Radio message meetup group, where we talk about all kinds of different theories. And I actually use their ideas and conversations in our show prep. And one of one of the folks dropped a nuke on me, and there's this documentary. It's a 3-series documentary called Conspiracy of World War I.
Conspiracy, huh?
I'm like, Conspiracy of World War I? That was so long ago, Kerry.
So you're saying that it's an interpretation of World War I that is different than what is traditional, because you just called it a conspiracy. That kind of leads me to believe that this has got to be something totally new.
It's the conspiracy of World War I.
Okay.
Just like the conspiracy of the Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama to attempt to overthrow a duly elected president. The conspiracy, and folks, just get this straight. Conspiracy means to conspire. And I know a lot of people have taken this conspiracy theory, and the mainstream media has made people feel weird or goofy, or you got a third eye if you say something about, I've got a conspiracy theory.
I've been battling that for a long time, because the phrase, the title conspiracy theorist is very derogatory. And it shouldn't be, and it's a shame that it is, but it's kind of like when a long time ago I had to explain to Brian that being righteous is actually a good thing, not a bad thing, because you hear self-righteous. Oh, he's so self-righteous, and it sounds like you're being derogatory, which you are if you call him self-righteous. But being righteous is actually a good thing. So conspiracy theorist is derogatory, but
when you say I have a conspiracy to tell you about, then you would explain to me a situation where more than one people, 2 people or more, conspired together to do something against something or someone else.
Right.
So that's what this whole document 3-part series was. It was 30 minutes, and the last one was 40 minutes. It's very quick, very concise, unbelievable. If for some of you, it might be a paradigm shift. For others, I know for me, it was a huge confirmation of a lot of things that I already knew, but it filled in all the details in the entire timeline. So
I purposely did not see it at all, didn't even look into it or anything. That way, as Brian explains it, I'll be learning it and questioning anything that I feel that I don't understand or miss. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun. I'll have a 4-minute montage clip that I put together from the 3-part series, just to kind of give you a flavor of what it's all about. And then we'll hit on some bullet points, and I'll tell you what I took away from the whole thing and how it relates to everything else going on in the world. I think so. My wife and I sat there watching it, and we were solving world mysteries.
And it's been like 100 years since the end of World War I. So this is interesting. And I think that people will find, and I'm just speculating because like I said, I haven't seen it, but I think people will find, based on my personal experience of learning about history, that you'd be surprised at how relevant something that's 100 years old can be to today's politics.
Right, because in my history class I took in college, history class I took in school, I don't think any of the history classes ever really got into World War I. It's just like, forget about it. It's too long ago. So we'll touch on that. And this is 2018. We're closing out the year, which is a good way to close out the year from something that happened, the anniversary of the ending of World War I in 1918. We're also going to get into the witch hunt. There's a big witch hunt going on, in case you didn't know.
Of course.
A lot of relevant things that have popped up this week about the witch hunt, some of the things that you probably don't know, probably didn't see. And we will give you people's names and handles on Twitter to follow so you can keep abreast on all the great news that's going on. We're also going to talk about, in that witch hunt, there is something about Benghazi and Syria. And this also has to do with Trump saying he's going to pull the troops out. Also got a huge list. I want to round out the year with a great list of things that Trump did good. Good? I told myself, I said, man, you need to change that line. No, it's just show notes. I thought it was kind of funny, so I left it there.
All right, little language police going on, coming after Brian over here.
Social media at work again, banning famous people, putting them on lockdowns, even religious figures. In case you didn't hear about that actually happened just yesterday and today. And then I think the big one that's just rocking America and social media, as well as President Donald Trump, the issue of illegal immigration. It is not undocumented immigration. It is illegal. You broke law, which makes it illegal.
I don't know why people are so upset about the semantics of that. I mean,
I had a family member come at me the other day.
Being an immigrant describes what you have done because you have immigrated. That's why you are an immigrant. If you're going to get upset by I don't know if it's a pronoun or I'm not a language expert, but if you're going to get upset at the word illegal to describe the immigrant, then you might as well just get upset at you calling them an immigrant. Oh, how dare you call them an immigrant? That's a human being you're talking about, not an immigrant. That's a human being. You make it sound like they're from another planet calling them an immigrant.
Or an alien.
Seriously, if you're going to get upset at somebody calling them illegal, describing their immigration status, saying that somehow that's dehumanizing them, then the word immigrant should also be criticized as well. We all know that that's ridiculous. So is it ridiculous for you to criticize the fact that their immigration status is illegal, which makes them an illegal immigrant.
Right. And so we're going to be talking about the border security, border wall. Got tons and tons of clips on that. Donald Trump weighing in, Lindsey Graham weighing in, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer not weighing in so much. Not so much, but we'll tell you where they are and what they're doing in case you don't know. But anyway, so we're going to start off. I want to play this 4-minute clip of the conspiracy of World War I, which this documentary lays out the conspirators, the conspirators, those who conspired together to actually set in motion World War I.
Ooh, okay.
And why they did it and how they did it, and then we'll get into some of the details that some of my feelings about the whole thing. So here we go.
What was World War I about? How did it start? Who won? And what did they win? Now, 100 years after those final shots rang out, these questions still puzzle historians and laymen alike. But as we shall see, this confusion is not a happenstance of history, but the wool that has been pulled over our eyes to stop us from seeing what World War I really was. This is the story of World War I that you didn't read in the history books. This is the World War I conspiracy. The First World War started as the result of a conspiracy. But to understand this conspiracy, we must turn not to Sarajevo and the conclave of Serbian nationalists plotting their assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in the summer of 1914, but to a chilly drawing room in London in the winter of 1891.
Rhodes had the money and he had the contact. He was a great Rothschild man, and his mining wealth was literally uncountable.
The will contains the goal. And then by the time he dies in 1902, there's funding, there's a plan, there's an agenda, there's working groups.
The only thing feasible to carry out this idea is a secret society gradually absorbing the wealth of the world.
And they thought if they could hook in with that alliance, then they had the possibility of defeating Germany quickly and without too much trouble. And that is basically what they did.
It is to this clique, not to the doings of any conspiracy in Sarajevo, that we can attribute the real origins of the First World War, with the 9 million dead soldiers and 7 million dead civilians that lay piled in its wake. But for this cabal, 1914 was just the start of the story. In keeping with their ultimate vision of a united Anglo-American world order, the jewel in the crown of the Milner Group was to embroil the United States in the war, to unite Britain and America in their conquest of the German foe. Across the Atlantic, the next chapter in this hidden history was just getting underway. With Wilson in office and Colonel House directing his actions, Morgan and his conspirators got their wish.
But his propaganda for re-election was, he kept us out of war. Here was a man, vote for Wilson, he kept us out of war.
And it was for the right of Americans to go into the war zone on such vessels that we finally went to war.
All along the Western Front, the Allies rejoiced. The Yanks were coming. House, the Milner Group, the Pilgrims, the Wall Street financiers, and all of those who had worked so diligently for so many years to bring Uncle Sam into war had got their wish. And before the war was over, millions more casualties would pile up. Carnage the likes of which the world had never seen before had been fully unleashed. The trenches and the shelling, the no man's land and the rivers of blood, the starvation and the destruction, the carving up of empires, and the eradication of an entire generation of young men. Why? What was it all for? What did it accomplish? What was the point? To this day, over 100 years later, we still look back on the horrors of that great war with confusion. For so long we have been told non-answers about incompetent generals and ignorant politicians. It's the senselessness of war the teachers of this fraudulent and partial history have told us with a shrug. But, now that the players who worked to set the stage for this carnage have been unmasked, these questions can finally be answered. And now the conclusion of the World War I conspiracy. Part 3. A New World Order.
And I leave you with that. They get into part 3, A New World Order, and that will absolutely blow your mind. Just to start off, this began in England with the three guys that they talk about. William T. Stead, who was Pall Mall Gazette. He was the newspaper magnate, so he could do all the propaganda that needed to be done. Reginald Brett, he was advisor to the Queen and advisors to 2 kings, and so he had the ear of the current king that was sitting. And then Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes was an older guy and went down to South Africa in the diamond mines where his brother had set that up. His brother went on and moved off to gold and gave that to his brother, the diamond mines. Now, Cecil Rhodes got in with the Rothschilds and with De Beers. De Beers right now today has the monopoly on all diamonds in the entire world. Wherever a diamond comes from, it comes from De Beers. They've got a lock on it, and diamonds are literally not worth what they are charging for because they've got warehouses the size of football fields, huge mountains of diamonds. And I know this just because of my job. where they'll come in with a bucket loader, just scoop up a whole bunch of diamonds. And
my dad's told me that for years, and I was a little skeptical. And now here you are, a goldsmith in the jewelry business, and you're like, yeah, they can scoop them up with a giant loader.
The guy I work for,
they sell them by the cubic yard.
Yeah. The guy I work for, the owner, his son actually manages the floor and is in training. He's 23 in training to manage the whole place. And he was just chit-chatting and talking with him one time, and he said, "Oh yeah, I've been over there. I've been there physically. I have seen it, Brian. It would blow your mind." So with that being said, Cecil Rhodes, his fortune was enormous. And what they did, they conspired together. And Cecil Rhodes wrote this out in an entire book. They conspired together to take back or take over the rest of Europe. And the reason why they hated Germany, they all absolutely hated Germans. And the reason why they hated them is because, well, one, they were different. And two, they weren't Anglo-Saxon or Anglos, and their economy was rip-roaring. They were doing phenomenally well. Germany was really making a come up. And if you look back at the map of like the early 1900s of Germany, they had a huge footprint, much, much larger than what they have today. And so they felt that if they could get into a war with Germany right now, that their economy and their forces would have a chance of just walking right over them, and we'll get rid of Germany because they're making too big of a come up. And our goal is to spread Anglo-Saxon culture worldwide, and they all were still so bitter about losing America. They were so angry that they didn't have America.
Yeah, because if you stop and think about it, okay, we talk about how World War I ended 100 years ago, which may seem like a long time to a lot of people, but in the history timeline, there's a lot of things that we're dealing with today that have their roots back that far ago. Well, the War of 1812 ended about the same time 100 years prior to the start of World War I.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's those connections.
No, it's a big one. So they wrote about it, they talked about it, and they felt that if they could get to, I mean, the end goal was to get Europe back and then get America too at the same time, tricking America into it. The propaganda machines were out of control. The media was out of control. It was as bad then as it is now. I mean, if you think that Don Lemon and CNN propaganda like you've never seen before.
Think about it. Why do you think we're dealing with such hardcore like fake news and just seeming like this false news and these it seems like it's worse than ever. Why is that? The reason why I contend is because we are actually dealing with brand new technology. Twitter, only a couple years old. Facebook, only a couple years old. All the social media in its entirety is in its infancy. Well, guess what? Mass communications on a grand scale was in its infancy back then, and world leaders were deciding that, hey, this can be used. This can be used. And they're doing it now. You know, 50, 100 years from now, people are going to look back and see this crazy stuff that's happening today. And they're going to say, you know, that Twitter thing, of course, nobody will know because that'll be gone. That'll be abolished. But they'll be talking about, everybody will know about social media 100 years from now. They'll be talking about how social media was just introduced. And so it's interesting. I think that a lot of the crazy turmoil and crazy stuff that was happening that led to World War I is this new technology. You have radio, you have the ability to communicate instantly over vast distances for the first time in just it was relatively new. It was like new technology.
Right. No, absolutely. And so back then, 100 years ago, a lot of these rich fat cats at the top, and mind you, probably not going to want to hear this. This was all Democrats. All of them.
Well, I mean, it's all, we learned from Dinesh D'Souza that it's the same motive over the course of all of human history. And actually, if you read Mark Levin's stuff that goes, his Ameritopia and the new one he's got out, it's almost like a remake of Ameritopia. This stuff's been going on since Plato and before. You go back as far as human civilization, and there's always been a certain group of people that are trying to rule over the rest of us. And so communism, a lot of people think, oh, well, Karl Marx came along and just introduced a cancer, opened up a Pandora's box on humanity, and now we're dying of cancer, right? Well, if you go back way before then, you find that Karl Marx was just rehashing what has been going on since all the way back to Plato's Republic. And so it doesn't surprise me that this was Democrats, or at least even before they were called Democrats, it's the same type of people. There's like this genealogy of tyrants.
Holding steadfast to God and Christ and the Christian religion would keep man from being okay with. And these conspirators, these guys that got together, especially Cecil Rhodes and the guys that Cecil Rhodes had brought up, they were as cool with murder and war as Che Guevara and Castro. Like, no, whatever justifies the means. I mean, the ends justify the means. Whatever, at what cost, at all costs, yeah, we're going to break a few eggs. However, I'd like to say I do not think they believed that there would be 15, 16, 17 million dead bodies. I don't think they intended that or even foresaw that. And if they did, that would have been much worse than anything. They would have been much worse of individuals than I could possibly even imagine. And remind you, folks, they didn't get into the World War II aspect of it, but mind you, remember that Hitler was a soldier in Germany, in Kaiser's army during World War I. And just like we say about Oklahoma bomber.
Oh, Timothy McVeigh.
Just like Timothy McVeigh, I'm telling you, out of this evil stuff, you twist people's minds.
World War I created Hitler the same way that Waco created Timothy McVeigh.
Just on a grander scale.
Yeah.
Just on a grander scale. So their whole goal is to get it all together. They know that Russia, Britain is not friends with Russia and things aren't going well. And so they get, Russia's at a war with Japan. And so on the back end that nobody knows, Britain started to fund Japan and realized that if we can get Japan to at least cripple, if not win this war against Russia, we ain't going to have no problem with Russia. So they're funding that. And then all of a sudden Cecil Rhodes dies in 1902. And so you're like, oh, the headmaster of all this is dead. Well, no, the plan has already been hatched. It hatched in 1891 with the New World Order. The king in play was absolutely in lockstep with what these guys were doing. They knew that they would have mass amounts of control, mass amounts of money. It would be the greatest opportunity that they had to take over the world, if you will, at this point in time, because you got to realize we're right in the middle of the America is, and so is Germany, right in the middle of their industrial revolution, and things are just, for them, things are moving at breakneck speed, and there's a lot of power to be held. There's a lot of things going on, and so they want to be able to get in front of that. And so for years and years and years, and you're like, well, how did they plan Archduke Ferdinand's death? They didn't. They didn't plan that. But since the whole time they were looking for that one moment that they could jump on and exploit it. Remember, never let a crisis go to waste. And they didn't. The newspaper and these guys and the government in Britain were always trying to exploit situations to where they could actually get a war started, and all of a sudden the dominoes fall apart and it all goes to the wayside. Okay, with that being said.
Just on a side note, have you ever heard of a Rhodes Scholar? It's a scholarship started by Cecil Rhodes Memorial.
Oh, wow.
So if you're a Rhodes Scholar, you're guilty of all of this.
Oh, man. Yeah. So it was all about money and power, money and power, money and power. Then fast forward the second part of it. And there's a lot of details, folks. I don't do it any justice. Not any justice whatsoever. You absolutely have to sit down. And the first one's only 30 minutes long.
I just want to hear what the conspiracy is. Well, I mean, it sounds like you're getting into it, where you're talking about power players that are at the very top that are playing the world like a game of Risk.
Right. And so in 1914, this happens. Archduke Ferdinand is murdered, and this is the perfect storm. Everything's been brewing. Everything's been ready.
The history books tell you that that's what caused World War I, that everybody's just minding their own business, and Archduke Ferdinand gets murdered by, we find out, was some Muslim terrorist, Islamic terrorist, and it just caused all hell to break loose. And that was, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah. Now the documentary starts out with that, lays that all out, and says, okay, that's what history wants you to believe. But here's what really happened before that moment, back 25 years ago, 1891. What really happened to lead up to that. And it's phenomenal. It's unbelievable.
So this thing gives you the context.
Oh, all of it.
Okay.
The names, the players, the places, the ages, the dates, all of it.
And that's interesting because I've noticed now, getting older, I've noticed that millennials and Generation Y and Z, or whatever they are called these days, these younger people don't know the context of all the different historical events and how it's really all tied. If you go before 1990, almost every single major world event has something to do with the Cold War, and they just don't even understand. In fact, I didn't even know until recently that the entire moon landing can only be told properly in the context of the Cold War. It was actually part of the Cold War. And so it's interesting that I didn't know that. And now it sounds like a lot of us about World War I don't know about the context that led up to that. And it could be relevant.
What's really interesting is that the guys that were attempting to kill Duke Ferdinand, one threw a bomb, missed the car. It was an open car. It was one of the old-fashioned open cars, convertible. And one of the guys threw a bomb to try and lob it in the back end of the car to blow it up. It rolled off and blew the car up behind them. They take off, and the Archduke says, hey, I want to head back. I want to go to the hospital and see the people and meet the people that were injured or killed. And they're like, okay, that's cool. They're going down the road, and all of a sudden they realize they're going the wrong way.
Ooh.
So the car stops, and at that very moment...
They didn't have GPS?
Nope.
They didn't have Google Maps?
They didn't have the Google Maps.
Damn.
Nope. And so at that very moment, one of the guys that were trying to kill him was standing there at the side road cafe shop.
Had no idea that he was in the right place at the right time.
He missed his opportunity to kill him before, but saw that the car was... He's like, this... He says, is this really happening?
I can't be this lucky.
Handgunned in hand, walked right up to the car and shot Duke Ferdinand and his wife, 2 bullets, 2 people dead, walked away. And that was played upon by these conspirators in order to get the dominoes to fall, because back then you had a lot of alliances.
So from a conspirator's perspective, this was just a happy little happenstance that they could use to their advantage.
100%.
Interesting.
And there were a couple other happenstances before this time that they tried to use to light the powder keg, but it never took.
Interesting.
And so they were at it and at it and at it. And then they see they're trying to get Woodrow Wilson. I think he was our first full-blown communist president?
Oh, well, that I know of.
Okay.
Definitely full-blown communist president, and he may have been the first one. Okay. And back then, you got to realize, too, that up until the communist revolution in Russia, they didn't know that communism was that bad. They had no context. There were people in America that were pushing for communism or were fans of the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx and all that didn't realize that it was doomed to failure because they needed to see that happen. They needed to see the tyranny, the mass death, the mass execution, now there were some people that could see it just because it's logic. And also, I think it was understood by very smart people that you needed to prevent people from having full rights in order for communism to take effect. In fact, I think even Karl Marx wrote that there would have to be despotic inroads. I think that's the exact words he used. He used those exact words. Despotic inroads would have to happen in order for communism to initially be seated.
Well, saying that, what Great Britain had done, what they had done with World War I has created Russia to fall into despotic inroads.
Yeah.
And just a little piece of the puzzle that they lay it out, Lenin and Trotsky were gotten together with the other Trotskyites, the Leninites, put into a train car. All this money, Trotsky's living in New York, completely funded by communists. He gets this trip to Canada, and then from Canada over to Great Britain, and everything is all paid for, and this guy's got money from everywhere, and he's never worked. He doesn't work. And he's an out-of-work writer, but he's got this lap of luxury, and he's sent by Britain. Britain arranged for Lenin and Trotsky to go to Russia and set up their own thing, believing in their mind that they would actually help destroy and literally ruin all of Russia so that Britain could help further their goal. They won't have to conquer Russia by the time they get there, not realizing that not realizing the communism that was put on. It's like setting off a nuclear bomb, and their worst thoughts were the chain reaction would never stop. Well, these conspirators never thought that, hey, what if this chain reaction doesn't stop? They never got there. They didn't even care.
They just assumed probably not. Or they didn't even foresee anything like that.
Right. So Britain actually caused the USSR and communism.
See, that's a big chunk of the puzzle that I would have never guessed.
I had no idea. So they lay this all out in this and there's all different chunks that are playing out that I forgot about, but I've watched it, the first one twice, and
they
then
planted the seeds of basically a Cold War that they had to deal with for 60 years.
Yes.
Basically.
100%.
Or 40 years or whatever it was.
And not only that, after the Treaty of Versailles.
That was World War I.
Yeah, after that was signed, when they were walking away from the table, I don't know if it was Russia. One of the heads of state that were at that table, they walked away. They told the local newspaper, they said, this ain't no peace treaty. This is just a 20-year hiatus.
Yeah.
And
I think I remember that. I do remember that.
20 years later is 1938.
Yeah.
World War II.
Yep.
They saw, okay, let's go back to Woodrow Wilson. Huge commie. Just a bad dude.
Full blown.
He was a university professor and a nobody. And Theodore Roosevelt said, I'm 4 years in and I'm done. He walked away. Now it's wide open. I don't know if they didn't know or they did know. This will ring true, folks. This is history repeating itself. Woodrow Wilson gets slid in by the Democrats just because he's willing to do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. He'll be the puppet. He's cool with that. No big deal. And the guy that is his puppet master, he actually even says things that allude to the fact that his right-hand man literally is controlling me. But Colonel House, he wasn't a colonel. He just made that name up. He wanted,
boy.
Yeah.
Like Colonel Mustard?
Yep. I don't know about Colonel Sanders.
Oh, he was definitely made up.
So Colonel
I'm going to
House,
look that up for you real quick while you go on.
Okay, so Colonel House is directing these actions and the back roads. And again, you saw in the trailer, J.P. Morgan which is now J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. J.P. Morgan, the richest of the richest of the richest financiers in the world. You talk about the richest of all riches. J.P. Morgan was absolutely that guy. J.P. Morgan, and I knew this from other professors who told me certain things, J.P. Morgan bankrolled Great Britain, literally lent Great Britain billions of dollars, which in today's money, what would $1 billion 100 years be worth today? I would almost think you'd have to be in the trillions. $1 billion 100 years ago?
Oh, that would be unimaginable.
So J.P. Morgan
100 years ago? Yeah, that has to be. I don't know what it exactly would be, but it would be probably like $1 trillion today.
Right. So J.P. Morgan bankrolls, helps to bankroll World War I, and it gets so far gone that as he's bankrolling Great Britain and he's bankrolling Italy, and he's bankrolling some of these other countries, I mean billions, with the likes that nobody's ever seen before. The government is told, or well, the president, Woodrow Wilson, is told, hey, because Woodrow Wilson actually has more money than our government, if we lose this World War I, we're going to lose a lot of money and power.
I would say so. I think that's always the thought. Right. Yeah,
it's going to crush us. At the same time, Great Britain and these leaders in Great Britain are thinking to themselves, when this is over, oh boy, we're going to be so rich it ain't even funny. And literally, this war, because our government was at the beginning, at the onset, we weren't in it, but at the beginning, our country was funding with military weapons and all kinds of gear and everything, was funding both sides of the war. We were funding Germany and we were funding Britain at the same time, as well as Italy. That war created over 26,000 new millionaires and billionaires in America alone. World War I created over 26,000 new millionaires and billionaires in America alone. I'm just saying, it's where all the
war. Wow, it's almost like an industry popped up.
Well, now that you say that, J.P. Morgan created the Federal Reserve Bank. J.P. Morgan got all the bankers together and locked the door and said, none of y'all leave until we create this thing and make it happen. And they got it done because they had Woodrow Wilson in the White House to go ahead and make it so. There was also never a federal income tax until they instituted it. Also never a federal income tax because Canada was involved too. Canada took the opportunity to get involved and institute a federal income tax as well that is still there to this day. All these governments and all these countries took 100% advantage of all the citizenry across the country, across the board, across the world.
Yeah, wow.
So now that
there was a lot of stuff happening. The world really changed with World War I. If you really think about all the things, like you just said, the Federal Reserve, income taxes and all that, the United States was a completely different country before World War I and completely different afterwards. And I think we lost a lot of the things. They've figured out how to create kind of a quasi-slavery out of the citizenry.
Oh, yeah.
By making you have to give a certain amount. You had to work. Money is just a marker of the amount of labor you've done. And to have to continuously funnel that to the government, requiring you to have to work. I mean, you're basically a slave to the state at that point, which was not the case prior to that. So it's kind of, but it also gives the government way more power than it ever was intended to have. The U.S. government, or any government in the world outside of a really nasty tyranny, doesn't need that much power.
No.
But they took it because they took advantage.
Right. And the people were in a situation like that, we were absolutely taken advantage of. the patriotism, the Uncle Sam poster was propaganda that was stolen from Britain. They had the exact same poster. They just changed it up, put Uncle Sam, they invented Uncle Sam just out of whole cloth, because that's what Britain did, and it worked. And so the propaganda machine started to turn out and churn out so much propaganda that nobody really knew. And when they start playing on your heartstrings and they start playing with your emotions, and that's something else they talk about in this documentary, that war is emotional. And in order to go to war, you've got to get your people emotionally tied to certain things. So they got I forgot about France. Britain and France got together and were wholly on the same page, and both of them hated Germany, and they both went at it with propaganda to rip Germany down. So back to America. Woodrow Wilson ran on the campaign that I will not get in this war. 1916 campaign, I kept us out of this war, so you got to reelect me. Well, as a Democrat, I mean, what do you do, right? Okay, you got to believe him, I guess. Well, and this might trigger another election you may remember, because I told my wife about this one. During the run-up of Woodrow Wilson, his second term, it wasn't looking so good.
Okay.
I think he only won by 42% of the vote.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't looking good. So what did they do about the Republicans?
Can't imagine. I have no clue.
Remember I told you Teddy Roosevelt only served 4 years and walked away?
Right.
Democrats called him up. It wasn't, I don't know the backstory to that. It may or may not have been.
A lot of people call Teddy Roosevelt Mr. Bull Moose. They call him, they say that he was very liberal.
Okay. Well, they called him up and they said, Teddy, we need your help. Here's a duffel bag full of cash. You're running on a third-party ticket.
Of course.
And he split the Republican Party and stole half the votes.
Well,
does that remind you of another?
Well, there was Ross Perot.
Ross Perot was winning and had to quit.
Right.
Because they didn't want him to win.
You think the duffel bags?
Yes.
The Democrat, I called them the duffel bags. I think I just coined a new party name for the Democrats.
Duffel bags.
We'll call them the duffel bag. The duffel bag.
Because they're throwing money at people to do stuff.
So the duffel bags called up Ross Perot and said, you need to get back in.
So, right. They told Ross Perot, they said Ross Perot, because they needed the globalists, they needed Bill Clinton, they needed a new and up-and-comer, and they needed to get rid of Bush. For whatever reason, they did not want Bush, but it'll give him more power, too. So, and I believe that, did they have the House and the Senate back then?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, they had the House and the Senate underneath Bill Clinton. And so Clinton wins. Now they got a trifecta, the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. So Ross Perot starts to run. And all of a sudden they realize Ross Perot is going to win this. And what does Ross Perot do? He quits. He's like, oh, man. No, I was just joking. I was just joking. And then it looked better for Bush. The numbers were looking better for Bush when he quit. And he jumped back in. Ross Perot came back.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it was just all a big.
I'm trying to figure out why he dropped out when he was in the lead. He was leading the current incumbent president.
He wasn't supposed to win.
And Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was left for dead.
No, he wasn't supposed to win.
He was told to run, but he wasn't supposed to win.
Right. It's the same thing with Teddy Roosevelt. They told him to run, but he could not win. And the reason why he could not win is because Woodrow Wilson was doing a phenomenal job ruining the country and selling it out to the communists and the socialists, putting in the Federal Reserve. So the original guy who took Wilson into the Democrat Party and said, Democrats, this guy's your new president, and I'm going to orchestrate the entire thing. He also helped him orchestrate his reelection campaign. After he won, Woodrow Wilson decided, because of the powers that be are pulling on his strings, that you need to create a Department of War, and you need to create another department. These two departments would then install the guy that ran the department was the guy from the Democrat Party that introduced him to being president.
Of course.
He ran that department, and he got so much power because they were able to dictate the amount of product that was built, the type of product that was built in all the industries and all the companies, all the corporations. They could dictate how much was made, how much was spent, all of it. The entire capitalist system was destroyed and completely taken over. Woodrow Wilson is, he's got blood on his hands. And so then all of a sudden, the sinking of the Lusitania, right?
Mm-hmm, that's how it got us into the war.
Do you know how that Lusitania got sunk?
Well, it was told that the German U-boats did it.
Right. And they did do it. I had this liberal professor who, now thinking back now how screwed up this knucklehead was, he told us that he believed that the Lusitania also had weapons in the hull. Well, come to find out, documents been released, documents been provided that weapons and rockets and whatever, whether they had all bombs and everything wrapped up in bags in the hull that should be refrigerated type food that wasn't refrigerated. But one like said cheese, and one said milk, but it was all there, and the ship's log shows that it was absolutely a ship that was carrying all kinds and it was also carrying people. America, Woodrow Wilson, went to Germany and told Germany, said, I'll tell you what, we will make a deal with you. You are not allowed to kill a single American citizen on the high seas. Otherwise, we're getting in. And then Germany said, okay, well, you got to cut back on this propaganda. You got to tell Great Britain this propaganda is out of control. And it was, folks. They were lying about everything. Britain was. The propaganda was out of control. Go to the Google after this show's over. Go to the Google and Google babies on bayonets. I remembered this from one of the classes I took. They had propaganda posters all over the world, everywhere, showing Germans holding their guns with the long bayonet, the sword at the end,
right,
with babies, naked babies hanging off the bayonets.
Why?
Because that's how evil the Kaiser is.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
It's how evil the Germans are. They're just wretched, awful.
And so the Germans wanted the propaganda to stop.
Yeah, because it was just flat out lying. It was CNN.
Right. They were not bayoneting babies.
No, obviously not. And raping women and children and all this crazy nonsense. Like they call us sexist, rapists, bigot, homophobes nowadays.
Right.
Well, back then, 100 years ago, if you said that about somebody, you're talking about their honor. You would never disrespect their honor. And so that's why Germany was upset. Okay. So then fast forward, a couple of years go by, and then the Lusitania is well known by the king and these conspirators to be going back and forth. And there's a conversation that has been documented in a letter that's been found that the king and some of the conspirators, hours before the sinking of Lusitania, made comment to each other about the sinking of the Lusitania and if that could bring America into World War I. And then lo and behold, Lusitania sunk, and Woodrow Wilson said, there were 12 Americans on that boat.
There was only 12?
That was like a couple dozen. It wasn't that many.
Gosh, I thought it was hundreds.
Well, it might have been 112.
I don't know.
But it was minuscule compared to the rest of the people. There was like 2,000 on that boat. So it might have been 100 and something.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize there were so few Americans. I mean, when they said thousands on there, I figured they were all Americans.
I thought they were Americans too. No. So Woodrow Wilson says, you went and gone and done did it. And the Germans say, no. That was a military boat.
Right. I remember that there was a big debate over that.
Right. Well, America started crank out and started putting the meat grinder all their propaganda and selling it to the people and say, come on, man, we got to pull this all together to make this really happen. Come on, y'all. And so that's what happened. And they did it all. And when it was all said and done, 15 plus million. Oh, not only that, but the Germans Oh, that was part of the propaganda, too. The Britons were cutting off ships that were bringing food to the Germans. They're barricading, a blockade. And Germans said to America, man, our people are starving to death. We got no food here. You got to tell Britain that's not part of war. There was documents from the 1800s from the last wars that you weren't allowed to do that. These are the rules of war. And Britain broke every rule there ever was and lied about it as bad as the Democrats lie today about everything. From then on, the Germany suffered so greatly under famine, under starvation, that the lives that were being crushed and killed and starving, and it continued after World War I because you just don't all of a sudden just get food to show up. It was wretched awful what they did. All said and done, Britain, France, Italy, and other countries owed J.P. Morgan tens of billions of dollars. Tens of billions. Woodrow Wilson got together some money from the people of America to loan to Bransford and all the billions of dollars. America loaned that to them. And that money that they loaned to them went back to J.P. Morgan.
So they could pay him. Nah, I can't even believe it. Can't even believe it.
Tens of billions, and today's money, we're talking trillions of dollars, came back to the robber barons that were the Democrats. Don't tell me a robber baron is a Republican. I don't want to, except for maybe John McCain. God rest his soul. But yeah, it all came back. 26,000 new millionaires and billionaires were created in America alone, and they opened Pandora's box and they realized, wow, how much more control can we take of our populations? How much more will they give up on the next war? And this is just me thinking this out loud.
Right.
I mean, how much more can we get away with?
Gosh, I hate to think of how accurate that is, but there's probably a lot of truth to that.
Fast forward to today. In my heart of hearts, and this is something my wife said, so I got to give her credit that she said it while I was talking about something else. But I agree with her 100%. And in my heart of hearts, I honestly, truly want to believe that Donald Trump knows and sees and was part of those people and said, no, man, this is how World War I went down. We can't do this. We can't. I'm sorry. I know you Clintons. I know you guys well. I know what you're doing in the background. I know what you're all about. And I think, and I'd like to believe, that Donald Trump broke from the pack and said, no, we ain't doing this again. We are not repeating history. And that is why they hate him so much.
Because they want to use these crises and different events, just any event. It doesn't even have to be a crisis, just certain world events where they can enrich themselves is basically what you're saying.
100%. And you're like, well, Brian, there's no World War III.
I think they realized that after World War II that the next war was going to kill them too.
Yeah, Obama had his war.
Well, and not only that, but they had the Cold War, which was a world war, a major world war. There was actually some real fighting. They had to do it proxy style because a one-on-one between the two superpowers would almost certainly result in a nuclear exchange, which would kill all the elites.
Okay.
Or at least render their kingdom uninhabitable.
So how do we have a war without that happening?
The proxy war. That's what we did.
Well, that and go to the Middle East.
Well, yeah, that's where we eventually went after the Cold War.
Overthrow Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Trying to attempt the attempt. This also goes with.
So you're saying the Middle East conflicts are just an extension? Is the next chapter in the elites trying to extort and suck money out of the people because the Cold War ended. So it's time to go to the Middle East, or it's time to come up with something else. They all went to the table.
Trillions and trillions of dollars. If you haven't seen that video on YouTube on what $1 trillion is,
I know.
You need to go see it.
It
would blow your mind.
It's country money. There's the, hey, I'm wealthy, I'm upper middle class, I could buy myself a McMansion. And then there's the major wealthy, and then there's
Bezos.
Yeah, well, then you get into the Bezos and all that kind of stuff, kind of wealthy. That's all child's play.
And Donald Trump, $10 billion.
Right, but once you become the head of a state, like a Donald Trump who becomes president, or you become the leader, the prince of Saudi Arabia or something, then you get into the country wealth, and that's what you're talking about. You're talking about country wealth at that point.
Pallets. There was one that they showed, like our national debt, $20 trillion. And they showed what is $10 trillion, and it's pallets of cash, $100 bills, stacked on top of each other, football size, long and wide, as high as the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, something like it. Just
there's videos on YouTube that'll show you physically the comparison between $1 trillion and $1 billion.
So when Donald Trump said, "I'm pulling the troops out of Syria this week," and they lost their SHI.
Even Lindsey Graham, who everybody's getting excited about, he's really turned the corner since McCain died. Oh, look at him fighting for the border wall. That's all fine and dandy, and I'm glad he's finally coming around. But he's still a globalist. He's still on board with this conspiracy that Brian's talking about, because he was on board with all the establishment people freaking out about us handing over the Middle East to Russia. I don't see... If the Middle East isn't yielding to America, why the hell would they let themselves be given up to Russia?
Well, here's the thing about Russia and Syria. Russia really hates ISIS and the beheadings. They want that gone. For as much and as bad of a guy you think Putin probably is, the beheadings have to stop. I mean, it's just flat out. It's got to stop. Not only that, but Putin also knows about the caliphate. And that was also, they were talking about the caliphate in this movie as well. I'm telling you, it's all in there.
Yvonne says that Lindsey is a war machine Republican.
Okay. All right, yeah. So now that when Trump tweeted out, "I'm pulling out of the Middle East," everybody lost their mind. Hillary lost her mind. She got on Twitter. She got blasted and destroyed by WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks blasted her with documents saying, Oh, get out of the war? You like the one that you caused, and the trillions of dollars spent? And oh, by the way, there's now documents that show that $2 billion went through the Clinton Foundation. Billions of dollars going through the Clinton Foundation while you were head of state, and then selling off uranium to Russia. All of this is all a money grab, a power grab. I'm not trying to simplify it and say, "Oh yeah, this is just one color, one thing." No,
follow the money, man. Follow the money.
It's evil. It's dirty, and they don't care who's killed. They don't care who dies. It's all about money and power, and that also lends me to believe that the night that Hillary lost, when they said she was absolutely inconsolable. She was beyond hysterical and inconsolable.
I would have if I was her too, but I mean, I would have felt like it was so close, and then it would feel like it was ripped from me.
Because you were told that it would be yours.
Yes. Well, you were told that I'm next in line. I was told by the kingmakers.
Yes.
That I was going to be the next king.
Yes.
And it just didn't work out at the very last minute. All the way leading up to just an hour or two before we knew for sure that Trump was definitely going to be the president, that he was definitely the winner. Like 2 hours prior, they were announcing on CNN that Hillary Clinton looks to be the next, I think it was, what poll was that where they said 98% chance
Huffington Post.
Whatever poll it was, 98% chance that Hillary was going to be the next president. And that was like 9 o'clock in the evening. On election night.
There's it's a little bit long, but there's a really good montage of video watching the Young Turks.
Oh, yeah.
And Cenk losing his mind, going from, okay, this is all right, to
so
all of a sudden just.
And he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. He hated Hillary Clinton.
Right. But he went total postal, total nuclear.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say, folks, is that even the Bushes, even the Clintons, the Bushes, even George Bush funded these wars. Even they funded all these things for whatever reason it is. You know, in the secret planes after 9/11 that were sent out of the country from Saudi Arabia. You know, why were those planes flying out?
That was very strange, and the excuse was really hokey. It was like, whoa, well, you know, everybody's going to be mad at Middle Easterners after 9/11, so we need to protect them by sending them out, sending them home. It's like, really? Is that what you think of the American public? Right. That we're going to track down somebody who we know is from Saudi Arabia, and we're going to drag them through the streets and murder them right then and there. I mean, come on, have a little bit more respect for your constituency, right?
Right. So the Democrats all on board with George Bush to go to war. Why? Because they know they're all going to make money. John McCain involved in shipping weapons, all kinds. And this just came out. What was this? It came out today or past couple days. General Flynn. And my question to General Flynn and Gen Public: why won't General Flynn talk? Why does General Flynn want this to go away really, really fast? From this by Judicial Watch, Defense State Department documents revealed Obama administration knew that al-Qaeda terrorists had planned Benghazi attack 10 days in advance. This from the actual document, Defense Department document from the Defense Intelligence Agency, dated September 12th, 2012. The day after the Benghazi attack, details that the attack on the compound had been carefully planned by the Bokhar terrorist group to kill as many Americans as possible. The document was sent to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, then Defense Secretary Leon Panetta, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Obama White House National Security Council. The heavily redacted Defense Department information report says that the attack on the Benghazi facility was planned and executed by the brigades of the captive Omar Abdul Rahman. The group subscribes to the al-Qaeda ideologies. And then Jack Posobiec even tweeted out, Jack Posobiec said in 2013, anti-tank guided missiles were shipped from the CIA to rebels in Syria to topple Assad. In some cases, those missiles ended up in the hands of ISIS less than 2 months after leaving the factory. Who was the CIA director at the time? John, I'm an absolute liar, Brennan.
There's a lot of corruption going on there. I mean, it's way worse than we ever imagined. We were just thinking, oh, these people are doing, certain things that they shouldn't be doing under Obama. It turns out that they were just selling the entire country down the river.
Oh, all of them. Yes, absolutely. All of them were. And
could you imagine being somebody who was a combatant in a combat zone in the Middle East, finding out that the top echelon of leaders under Obama were basically doing the things that could get you killed in order to enrich themselves, I guess? You know, is that what John Brennan was doing? Like, what was his motive for making sure that missiles and whatnot directly from the factory get into al-Qaeda hands? I mean, this is going to end up killing American soldiers. Could you imagine? How would you feel if you were a soldier in the combat zone and you survived that? You come back and you find out that you were thrown into a blender by these people in order to line their own pockets. This is America. This is America where your children, your sons and daughters who join the military get sent off into a blender of the directors of the CIA and other top officials of the Democrat. If a Democrat gets elected president, or I should say establishment Republicans, if they are elected president and they appoint these people, they're there to use your children to line their pocket, and your children will go off to possibly die, maybe survive if they're lucky, but in the course of them surviving or dying, they'll end up slaughtering some Middle Easterners. Who knows whether or not that needed to happen or not. And this is the world we live in today.
This is kind of my conspiracy, not theory. But maybe some of it's a little bit of a theory. But the conspiracy that I see that went down under Barack Obama was that we couldn't go to war with Russia. There could never be another World War III because our capital would be nuked. So how do we create a war to where people people don't have nukes? Well, George Bush got us into this Afghanistan war. Longest war in American history, 17 years.
Yeah, and the Afghanistan war was very, very popular publicly because we were told that that's where the 9/11 attack on us was launched from. It wasn't totally kept secret, but a lot of the details were kept secret, and the overall idea was kept secret that all these people, all 19 hijackers and the 20th hijacker that was caught or whatever, were all Saudis.
Come to find out that they're Iran. They're from Iran?
No, they're all Saudis.
They're all Saudis.
All Saudis. They are from Saudi Arabia.
But we went to Afghanistan.
And then we found out later in a report that came out like a decade or two, like a long time afterwards, that the Saudi princes were involved in the planning or funding or somehow supporting, knowing what was going to happen, the 9/11 attack. So you could make the argument that we were attacked by Saudi Arabia, the country, on 9/11.
And my whole theory about ISIS, not theory, but the whole conspiracy about ISIS coming to play, the founders of ISIS, Obama, Hillary, and McCain, sending all this stuff over to the rebels to overthrow us. Since when did we start overthrowing countries? Since when was that our objective in America, to start overthrowing dictators and pontiffs and
whatever?
That's
just not how it's supposed to work in civilization.
And if you're going to overthrow a dictator, why don't you go down to Venezuela and overthrow that bastard?
Well, if you're going to overthrow dictators, it has to be under the understanding. The world needs to understand that we're doing that so that we take it over and it becomes the 51st state.
Right. And that has never done. And this nation building thing is all a ruse. It's all a joke.
It's a farce.
It's a farce. The whole thing. It's all just a big, giant mess that enriches these politicians and the governments at the top. So Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, they knew they had a friend in me with John McCain. And he was already doing this already to begin with. He already had ties to running guns and missiles and stuff like that. And so they decided, you know what? Since Bush went to war with Afghanistan and our Saudi guys over there, and tactically ISIS, if it had a country, would be Saudi Arabia. Why don't we just go to war with ISIS? Or why don't we create ISIS? And then we could go to war over it. They created a phony war by allowing tricking the Muslims to believing they had a shot at getting the caliphate to go away, to come through. So they tempt them with money and weapons and stuff. They'll kill anybody anyways. So here you go. You guys got Toyota Hiluxes to roll around in. All kinds of, you living a high life.
The Hilux.
The Hilux. You're living the Hilux.
It's like the Cadillac of pickup trucks.
Right. Right. And so they set this all up. And what does ISIS do? ISIS does what ISIS does. They start killing people. They start going at it. And they went at it with Assad. They were going to take over Syria. That's why Obama kept calling it ISIL. Because he had to sell his plan.
He was selling something. Everybody's like, ISIL. Nobody called it ISIL except for Obama.
No.
We were just like, okay, you keep on calling him that, and we'll just call him ISIS, and that'll be it.
So, right. Yeah. So Russia got involved and said, no, for whatever reason, Russia and Syria, many reasons, Russia and Syria are in bed together. Putin said, no, this stops here. You're not coming through. Whatever. Trillions and trillions of dollars were burned in the Middle East. Just burned. It's gone. It's all gone. All of our taxpayer dollars. It's just gone. Whether it be in there, they're lining the pockets of the Clintons and the elites, and there are other players. And there's probably tens of thousands of people who became millionaires because of this war, because of all these wars that were started by these Democrats. So Trump says bring the troops home from Syria, and I believe it's only like 2,000 troops, only a couple thousand.
All right, I think there's quite a few thousand being left. They're just bringing some home, I guess. But it's interesting, the flip-flop that you see the Democrats make where they're outraged that Trump would do that, and they're coming up with all kinds of spin to make the argument that it's a mistake to do that and that he shouldn't do that. And somebody came out with a meme that somebody went into Trump's office and pounded their fist on his desk and said, "How am I going to be able to tell these parents that their kids are coming home?"
Right.
And that was a play on the pounding on the desk and say, how am I going to tell these parents that their kids are not coming home?
There's one of those idiots on CNN. One of the guys said that, these troops, they're going to come back home and they don't want to come home.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They're going to come home. They're going to have nothing to do and they're going to want to go back.
Liberals have a very sick, twisted view on what a soldier is, who they are, what they believe, what they think, how they behave. They have a really sick, twisted view on it. They think that it's like Jesse the Body Ventura's character in Predator.
Right.
Where just chomping on some chaw with the big old hat with the folded up side and a minigun. I don't care what I do, just as long as I'm shooting this gun at people.
I want to stay in.
As long as I'm killing people.
I was born to kill.
Yeah, just mowing them down. Give me some more chaw. Spitting on people's boots, causing trouble, getting into mischief. Give me my minigun. I got to shoot it.
Get some liquor up in here. Come on.
That's what liberals think your average soldier is. And I'd rather get shot down and die a soldier's death than to come home and have to see my family.
You want me to come home? Well, what's wrong with you?
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't get a job. Who's going to hire somebody like me? What business is going to allow me to start mowing people down with my minigun? Ain't going to hire me to do that. Send me back to the front. That's what the way liberals think of soldiers.
Truly. Yeah. No, there's no lie, guys. No lie. So with that being said, we can dovetail into the mischief and stuff that went down this week.
Oh, hilarious stuff, right?
You want to get into how Trump didn't go to the troops during Christmas?
Sure. So let me give a little backstory on this. So for the entire month of December, liberals were like, look at him. Hasn't even visited the troops yet in Iraq. What a lowlife. What kind of commander-in-chief doesn't even visit the troops? And on Christmas, how outrageous. And of course, I don't know, I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself by saying that on the 26th, he went and visited the troops in Iraq, and the Democrats decided to spin it by saying, aha, look at him. We shamed him into doing it. It was so shameful that at the very last second, Christmas Day, he's sitting at home. It's done opening up all his presents. Oh, well, he's getting late. The sun's down. The lights are on for the last time.
He's tweeting in the White House.
Hey,
guys, I didn't go to Florida. I'm waiting for you Democrats to get back here. I didn't take vacation.
I'm home alone.
Yeah,
which is hilarious because they end up showing that scene from Home Alone 2.
He said, I'm all alone. I tweeted that to Carrie. I said, Carrie, you're going to hate this tweet.
Yeah, because it made him look. For those of you that don't remember last week's show, I said I don't like when he goes down that road of woe is me. Everybody feels sorry for me. But it was actually kind of funny, and it allowed for one of my buddies to throw out the little piece of video from Home Alone 2 where he says hi, or he gives directions to Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
But anyway, from Home Alone 2. But anyway, so here he is. They're painting this picture that he's at home in the White House. all the lights are off except for the Christmas lights. So there's like this glow of dim lit Christmas bulbs on his face, and he's sitting there like, man, I really feel bad. The Democrats at CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times have made me feel so bad. Yes. Give me my phone. Hey, Secret Service, warm up the jet. Warm up Air Force One. Everybody get in the jet. We're gonna run out to Iraq real quick.
I know y'all doing Christmas at home.
I know. Everybody, come on in.
Bring it in.
Warm up the jet. Somebody put the defrost on. Somebody hit the defrost.
Get them out there. De-ice the wings. Let's get this going.
Put the windshield wipers on. Somebody scrape the window in the front.
Get my seat heated up.
Yeah, get it, because we're gonna go out. I know it's late December 25th. I know we didn't plan on ever going to visit the troops in Iraq. We were never going to do that. But you know what? I want to be there tomorrow.
Right. Just be there tomorrow. Come on, let's vote.
That's not how it works.
No, and if you listen to Dan Bongino's Secret Service agent, if you listen to Dan Bongino's podcast, he actually talked about this at great length, which is awesome. He talked about how he was tasked for a similar situation with Obama. And so he had to set this up for Obama and to get over there to the Middle East to meet the troops. He said it was a 4-week ordeal. He said it took me 4 weeks. We had 4-week notice that this was going down. And so that's what they do. You have to have that much time. Think about it.
Oh yeah,
the logistics nightmare.
They had at least a month, right?
Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks.
They knew about a month ahead of time that this was going to be a part of the agenda. They did a good job of keeping it secret. I'm actually kind of amazed because of the fact that so many people would have had to known about it for it to have remained a secret until he was there. It's interesting. Office of Mike, if you guys follow him, at Office of Mike on Twitter, he's a friend of mine. He was the first person to break the news. He was like 20 minutes ahead of the next person.
Wow.
He's got some inside information. So he tweeted out that Trump is on his way to Iraq to visit the troops. And 20 minutes later, the mainstream media was like, hey,
we shamed him.
Looks like Trump's on his way to Iraq or whatever. And so Air Force One, wheels up, whatever. And so we knew early on. But of course, there were a lot of people that knew at least 3 weeks ahead of time that this was long in the works, long planned. And he went there. He said hi to the troops. He signed MAGA hats. Did you hear the controversy on that?
Okay, before we get to that.
Yeah, we got to get into that controversy.
As he gets there, also Melania there as well. They ripped Melania in her boots. Because she had
Timberlands.
And that's cool. I think she looked great.
Timberlands, a lot of people don't know this because Timberlands were made popular by rappers in the 90s and the early 2000s as a fashion statement. But what people may not know, if you're millennial or younger, is that Timberlands are not designer boots. They're not designer boots. They're work boots.
No, man, come on, it's design.
I mean, you could wear them with $900 jeans.
She wore them well.
No, but nowadays they all are also designer boots. But here's the thing. She wore them visiting the troops, and it was clear, as far as anybody with a fashion sense knows, that it was like a tip of the hat to the military.
Yeah. Not insulting.
I'm a Marine. Brian's in the Air Force. We both wore boots the entire time we were in. Military boots, military issue boots or whatnot. I don't have a problem with her, giving a shout out to military wearing work boots.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. Especially with her fashion sense. I mean, what's the alternative? That she was going to wear military issue boots?
It didn't matter what she wore. They were going to rip her anyways.
Right. I don't have a problem with it.
And prior to that, I don't know if you guys saw, Michelle Obama got up on stage and was doing a talk or something wearing thigh-high streetwalker boots.
Who did this?
Michelle Obama.
Streetwalker.
Yeah, and she had a slice up her dress.
Oh, yeah.
So when she walked, you could see the glitter glam, and they were referred to as streetwalker boots.
Okay.
Yet they love that.
Okay.
And Melania's garbage.
It's obvious that it's just not even honest reporting. It's, okay, Michelle is wearing something. Let's gush. Let's figure out how to find all the positive in what she's wearing and gush over all those positives. Oh, Melania's wearing something. She's showing off in public, and she's wearing something. Let's find anything we can spin into a negative and just hammer down on that negative. Hammer, hammer, hammer. It goes that way every single time without fail.
This is part of the narrative, folks. This is what the narrative is.
It's what their job is.
Right.
Their job is to do that. Oh, Michelle's out in public. She's wearing something that stands out. Let's find the positive. There's the positives. Let's gush over it. Gush, 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 gush. Oh, here's Melania. It's like, it's so clockwork. It's so predictable. You just have to know that and just deal with it.
So first lady to visit a war zone since 1969.
Wow.
Also, something you won't see unless you're on social media. There was pictures of Donald J. Trump. And this is his MO. This is what he does. He does this around his estates and places where workers are working. He walked outside the hangar and walked up and shook the hands of the military men and women that were on duty guarding the facility.
Oh, I would do that too. I would so do that. And not enough presidents do that. But yeah, I mean, having been there, like I was never in a spot where the president visited, and it was Bill Clinton at the time. So I don't think I would have been fired up about sitting around or standing around all day waiting for him to come in to see him and say hi to him. But I remember being in those situations where your job was to be in this spot and to guard this area or whatever, and be there and stand post and whatnot. And absolutely, if the commander-in-chief walked by me, I would certainly hope he would make a beeline to me and say hi to me.
Yep. So the MAGA hats.
Yeah. So apparently, my initial reaction, because I forget about the law, and I do remember this. You got to realize that I served a long time ago, so there's a lot of things I forget and I have to be reminded of. But yes,
and there's things that we don't know that have changed.
That's true.
Like
fatigues off of base. My God, you could not wear camis off of base.
No,
ever.
Right.
And sometime during right after 9/11, actually right after the start of the Afghanistan war, all of a sudden people were wearing camis out in the civvy world, in America, on American soil. It's like, when was this allowed?
Same-sex couples, at least in the Air Force, are allowed to get married.
Oh, wow.
And now you receive married pay, which is a lot more. And they also pay for you to live off base if you so choose so.
I don't remember the exact date of when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was implemented, which is hilarious. The history behind that is hilarious. People wanted Bill Clinton to do that. When I say people, okay, people who we consider today to be LGBT wanted Bill Clinton to do that. And when he did it, the gay community praised him to the hilt. They were like, oh my gosh, this is a big milestone for us. Years later, LGBT wanted to get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell and criticize Bill Clinton for doing it in the first place. You got to realize that before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, if you were to say, Don't Ask, Don't Tell still you couldn't say, but if somebody were to discover, they were allowed to ask you if you were gay, and you were supposed to be honest. And if you were immediately kicked out of the military. So Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a way to protect gay people from being asked whether or not they were gay. And so anyway, I had joined so long ago and so soon after Don't Ask, Don't Tell that on my original application form, the question was there, and my recruiter had to cross it out and said, "You do not answer.
Ooh, no,
do not
no.
answer that.
No,
we do not want to know.
No."
But just FYI, if the answer is yes, and you tell us, then we have to not allow
null and
you.
void. Yeah, right.
No, you're not allowed to serve.
Null and void. Yeah,
yeah,
you're out. You're out.
You're out.
So,
right.
So things have changed, but
Things have changed.
The MAGA hat. So troops ran to their lockers, grabbed their MAGA hats, and came back to Trump to sign them.
Okay. And also I heard, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, or somebody correct me. I heard that Trump may have also brought MAGA hats?
Negative Ghost
Oh, he
Rider.
didn't. Okay.
Trump said himself, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. What the hell's wrong with you?
So he didn't
I
bring
didn't
MAGA
bring
hats.
nothing.
Okay. Because I don't know what would it have been allowed if Trump had a MAGA hat in his hand? It was his MAGA hat. He signs it and then gives it to a soldier that wants it. Would that be illegal? Or is it illegal if a troop shows up with a MAGA hat and says, "Here, will you sign this for me?"
Well, we got Jim, I'm a piece of garbage Acosta.
Oh, gosh. Well, you know he's going to lie whatever he says. So
Right, and he's got 2 guests on.
Okay.
This is going to be painful, but you guys got to hold on. You got to hear this.
Well, we'll destroy him after he's done talking.
At his Make America Great Again hat. Is that unusual to see the president doing that on base? Does this run the risk of the president, facing some accusations that he's turning some of this into a campaign stop? What do you think?
Well, this is very interesting. The pool reporters traveling said that the troops brought the hats with them, including one hat that said Trump 2020. We will have to see if that actually proves to be the case. The question is, if they brought them or if the president brought them, what commander allowed that to really happen? Because this is very much against military policy and regulation. Troops are not supposed to be involved in political activities. The U.S. military is not a political force. And there's no question the saying Trump 2020 and Make America Great Again, those are political slogans of a Trump campaign. They are not governmental sayings, to say the least.
Right. And John, I mean, what would the concern be if something like that is going on, do you think? Or is this just
the collusion? It's
a
conspiracy.
soldier is there, he's got a hat in his locker, and he runs over and says, "Hey, when am I going to have another chance for the president to sign one of these things?"
Yeah, look, I mean, it kind of blurs the line because the Trump is his slogan, and where's that line?
What?
But Barb's right, it is in fact a campaign slogan. That is a campaign item, and it's completely inappropriate for the troops to do
Not
this.
supposed to do it.
Not supposed to do this, and I'm sure that their bosses seeing that, they're not going to be happy about it. But look, the president has to take some ownership of this too. Every time he's around military audiences, he tends to politicize it, and he brings in complaints and grievances from outside the realm of military policy. This was wrong for him to do it as well. I'm going to be really interested to see, Jim, when we get video of his comments to the troops, his actual speech, al-Assad, and I hope that he didn't politicize those sets of remarks, but we'll have to wait and see.
And Barb, speaking of what the president said over there, the president said today that he's not in any rush to fill the job of defense secretary, the position that Mattis.
Okay. So yeah, the thing is the military is supposed to be defending America regardless of who the president is, whoever. And it would, let's just say Trump were to create a situation where it was clear that the entire military was just totally behind him. And then his successor ends up being a Democrat. It could create an uncomfortable feeling for the commander in chief to feel like, gosh, they might hate me because I'm not a Republican or I didn't like Trump or whatever. And that all that is inappropriate, and I get all that.
Well, you got back in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
If a general wanted to take and be the head of Rome, he would march his army into Rome and take over Rome.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that it goes way back. The rules that are in place in American military branches go back thousands of years. So this is tried and true rules and regulations that go back thousands of years. You don't want to have a very popular general to be able to come in and say, "We're taking over,"
right.
which has happened in the past. Military coups throughout history are actually probably pretty common.
Yeah.
So
just real quick, I don't think we're going to get to Mattis, but there's not much to Mattis. Mattis was a globalist.
Yes.
Mattis spoke.
Well, we talked about him last episode.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Mattis was a globalist, and he disagreed with Trump being.
And this isn't our opinion. He wrote this in his resignation letter, which was published in all the major magazines and newspapers and whatnot. And when you read it carefully to yourself, I highly recommend you go and do that. It's not that long of a letter. He's saying that he disagrees with Trump on, and I'll paraphrase this, the fact that he's a nationalist, and he feels like the nationalism is a slap in the face of the allies. Now, we all know as nationalists that that's not the case at all. You're not an isolationist just because you're a nationalist, and you don't crap all over your allies by saying that we're going to put America first. In fact, Trump has told the leaders of other countries that he hopes that they put their country first.
I mean, let's talk about Trudeau. No, I'm sorry, soy boy. I'm sorry that, your dad was Castro and you couldn't hang out with him more often. I'm sorry, man. But Canada being our ally, we do not cater to Canada.
Right.
Ever. Canada is socialist. Their whole government is different.
We'd be willing to help them and to be allies with them and expect them to help us and work with us just as we would work with them. But we would never put Canada above America. And it seems to me like globalists, the easiest way to explain it would be this, that globalists hope and strive for one day to have a one world government. And so the idea of this mythical globalism that has the idea is that we're going to progress towards it. And any step that we can take towards a one world government where we're all one, we can dissolve all the borders and we can all be one, that will come before our own nation. And in fact, putting America first and being a nationalist is a threat to the idea of a one world government. And that's why we are so opposed to globalism.
100%. 100%. If you missed the very beginning of the show, wait till it's over and go back. This is what we're talking about. This was World War I. This was Great Britain. The New World Order was real, is still real, and this is what we fight against because America is the exception to the rule. We were never meant to be a one world government, which is supposed to be us, free people. We weren't supposed to be ruled. We were the first country in all of human history set up to where the people ruled the government, and the government was there to serve the people.
Right.
That was never, ever thought up or thought as a good idea by any ruler, dictator, king, queen, pontiff, whatever.
Right.
And so America being set up that way, completely different. You get Woodrow Wilson in there, first communist president, and says, you know what?
We haven't been the same since. We're still recovering from that, and we're far from. We may have gone further down the road.
FDR, LBJ, all of them, just bad.
Even JFK, I think that he did a major fatal blow to the idea of freedom and capitalism and everything that America stands for by allowing government service members to unionize. Yes. That was a massive blow.
Well, and then you get Peanut Head Carter
with the Department of Education.
Created
massive blow.
Took the education czar and said, you know what? I'm going to give you your own department.
Yeah,
you're going to have your own budget.
That was a major blow. FDR had Social Security. Major blow. Look at what we're able to achieve. My dad is a perfect example of that. With 401ks and IRAs. This is private stuff, people. And it's so much more massively successful than Social Security. And yet, we still have Social Security. Massive blow.
And
massive blow to
for
America.
those of you who are Black Americans and you're a man, they say the majority, well beyond 50%, the majority of Black male Americans never receive Social Security. They die beforehand, and all that Social Security money, you know where that money goes? Not to your families.
No.
You paid in it all your life.
Yeah.
Now you're dead. Now you don't get it.
They keep it.
They keep it.
That is a hell of a death tax.
And not only that, but Candace Owens talks about LBJ's New Society, New Order thing, and that was to exclude. That was to keep blacks enslaved. LBJ,
for the most part, right? Mm-hmm.
You know,
it was like a way to make up for the fact that slavery was abolished.
And the propaganda machine that is the Democrat Party, they did a hell of a job of getting 90% of black Americans to vote for them. I know Brandon Strucka's out there working hard. Scott Pressler's out there working hard, trying to make it happen. Walk Away has turned into a nonprofit organization.
I want to point this out because somebody pointed out that 401ks lost all the gains this year. Let me explain something to you. My dad's been putting in money to 401k for decades.
You only lose it if you take it out.
My dad has gained over $1 million over what he has put into his 401ks. Even after the losses this year, it's a very temporary lull in the action. And as a matter of fact, he's been putting in as it goes down, which means the next time it goes up, he'll have more than what he put in. Going down is a good thing. That gives an opportunity
on the way
for
down.
People to buy. Come on, don't be stupid. Listen, you're thinking like a poor man, and you'll be poor for your whole life.
Well, your dad just made a big hit. He's buying on the way down, and then what just happened?
It goes.
We had a
1,000-point
uptick, or a rocket ship, the biggest one-day gain ever.
And I guarantee you,
nobody's talking about
my dad sold something that day. I guarantee you. Why? Because it went up. When it goes up, you sell some, and when it goes down, you buy some. Don't be stupid. This is the difference between poor people and wealthy people. You can't be like, oh, if I put money in 401k, I would have lost everything this year. Yeah, but how many years are you how many years until you retire? Right. My dad started putting in a 401k like 30 years ago. I mean,
probably when it first started.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as it started, he was putting money, and they did this match thing at his work. I think maybe they matched 3% or something like that. So if he puts in 3%, they 100% match it up to 3%. You know what my dad did? He never missed the 3%. Never.
Always max it out.
Because that's money that you're getting paid that if you don't put in, you don't get paid. They don't match you if you don't put in.
You're leaving money on the table.
Yes.
And if you don't understand what we're talking about, you need to educate yourself on this.
Yes. Gosh. Don't be dumb. That's propaganda. That's dumb propaganda. You're not going to get away with it if you say it in my presence. No. If I hear you say dumb, false propaganda saying, oh, 401k, you lost everything if you put it in this year. Yeah, well, guess what? If you're 64 and you're only
started
you're going to put in and you're going to put in for a year. Yeah, sure. How many people do you know decide, I'm going to retire next year? What should I do? Let's put in a 401k for a year. Come on, man. Don't be stupid. That's just dumb.
It's just straight dumb. So real quick, we got Don Lemon being a lemon head about Trump and Trump going over to see the troops.
It really was perplexing when watching his message today. And then yesterday, I do have to tell you, I tried not to because I was with my family. But when we turned on CNN and we saw...
he's talking about turning on CNN with his family. I try not to.
And by the way, when he says it's very perplexing, he's telling you what you're supposed to think. Right. He doesn't want you to think on your own. He wants you to say, okay, I know I'm supposed to tell you what you're supposed to think because I don't want you to come up with your own conclusions. So I'm just going to tell you right now. It's very perplexing. And you should feel very perplexed. You should be very perplexed.
I'm feeling perplexed right now, Carrie.
Okay. The president politicizing a Christmas message. It was like we kept saying he's like the Grinch.
What?
I'm being honest.
No, he stole Christmas.
Instead of being positive with the troops, saying this is about the troops, it's not about me. I'm here to thank you for your service, whatever. Even if reporters ask him questions, this is not about me. This is about the troops. They serve our country well. Maybe he said it's unfortunate that some of them are not getting paid, and I wish they were. And we'll come to an agreement.
They're getting paid, people. Look, we were in the military. I was in the Marines, active duty, during a shutdown.
Clinton shutdown. We talked about it because we heard the news about, well, we weren't getting paid. We all looked at our checks. We all got paid.
We got paid. I think the worst thing that happened is they put us in formation and they said that if you have bills and whatnot, there could be a time in the next couple of paychecks if the government stays shut that long. And I'd like to know, I haven't even done the research on this. When is the longest shutdown that is ever in recorded history? What is the longest duration of any of the shutdowns that have happened in the past 50 years? I'm not sure, but the only way you would stop getting paid is when they totally run out of money and it's still shut down. And even if they did stop your pay, you will get all that back paid, all of it back paid. The only thing that might cause problems is in the case of some people who are living paycheck to paycheck. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's very possible that if you go so long that you actually do get furloughed, where you are actually not receiving a paycheck, then that could create a problem. But here's the thing. We never get to that point.
No, but he brings up the Coast Guard. And the funny thing that he brings up on the Coast Guard that he's wrong again is that Donald Trump said, we cutting a deal. We're working this out with the Coast Guard. It'll be all right.
No, there you go.
That everyone gets paid, the 42,000 members of the Coast Guard who are not getting paid. So let's be positive about
Fake
Christmas.
news.
Same thing during Christmas is saying it was so negative and so you want positivity when it comes to Christmas. It is perplexing. Why would he visit the troops and do that?
So he's complaining that he didn't go visit the troops. Now he's complaining he visited the troops.
I can't believe he visited the troops.
Kerry, why did he go visit the troops? What's wrong with him? Knucklehead.
To be candid, I hope that this trip helped from a morale perspective. But from a national security perspective, for all the reasons that you just listed, the president should have stayed home. He traveled to Iraq where service members are defending our homeland. They're not protecting another country. They're defending our homeland from ISIS, an enemy that we know has attacked the United States.
That has been destroyed by Trump.
Yeah, they're down to nothing there in Syria.
ISIS is a shell. Like they're down to like 1% of what they used to be. He's absolutely devastated the entire movement.
And he made this about himself. These visits that presidents undertake. I served for a year in Iraq. I helped execute some of President Obama's trips to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, so this makes sense. She
worked
for Obama.
He has never, if you study every single one of Trump's speeches, you will find that he actually goes so far out of his way to not make it about him that you got to kind of wonder sometimes if he is consciously doing that.
Okay, so why are they doing this, Kerry? Here's why they're doing this.
If you can get it to play. That's awesome. Wow. That's like a rally.
That's why Don Lemon had on CNN and that crazy lady
I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm surprised. When I was in the military, we would have been in a very tight formation, perfectly covered in a line.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be allowed to do that.
No.
I mean, some of them got their covers off. Some of them got them on. I mean, getting lazy with it. What's going on?
The military's changed a little bit since we were in.
Okay.
I mean, we would have been in a formation.
Your hat is called a cover.
We would have been told, we would have been put at parade rest, and right before or maybe right as the president walks in, we would have been called to attention.
We
would have locked up into attention, and we would have been that way until Donald Trump told us at ease. If he didn't, we would have just been standing there position of attention. We would have had to have been told dismissed in order for us to crowd around like that.
To do that.
And even then, I don't think we would have taken our cover off. It's kind of interesting.
Or start chanting USA?
I'm not sure what that was. Somebody in the military is going to have to let us. I mean, when we were in the military, it was definitely a little different than that.
Yeah, it was a whole lot different.
That was a combat zone. Is that different? Maybe. I mean, I was told if you're in a combat zone and you walk by an officer, you are not to salute them.
Right.
And that is to prevent drawing enemy fire, or should say attention to them, so that they don't
because they know
a target.
Because they know if you're saluting somebody, then obviously they're
important. Right.
Okay, so here's just a real quick clip, 28 seconds of Trump while he's visiting troops in Ramstein, Germany. For those of you audio only, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visit Ramstein Air Base, largest air base in the European Union.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you. Real honor to be with you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
It's an honor to be with. He said it's an honor for me to be with you. He's made this all about himself. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I am so honored to be with you. How dare him say that? He's so selfish.
I know, right?
Don Lemon and everybody at CNN are a bunch of liars. They're
100%.
making up completely fake news out of whole cloth to propagandize you in order for him to be able to get you to believe something that's not true, but supports their fake news narrative. This is what CNN does. They do it on a daily, on an hourly, every minute of every day. That's what you have to come to expect from them, but also from the Washington Post, the New York Times, and all their little minions like the Daily Beast and all these other places. Fake news, totally, 100%.
Okay, so real quick, let's transition real fast to the Russian witch hunt. I'll just get this real quick, no big deal. One small clip that's kind of actually funny. The witch hunt. Did you see that?
Did I see the witch hunt?
Oh, CNN got triggered on the words witch hunt.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that. All
right, real quick. WashingtonTimes actually reports this. Thanks to a defamation lawsuit by 3 Russian bankers. I don't know if you remember that. 3 Russian bankers filed a defamation lawsuit against Christopher Steele for lying about them in the fake dossier. So because they filed this, now it's gone to court in Britain's courts. And so now there's documentation now. Christopher Steele is now on the record. Christopher Steele has testified that he was hired specifically to help the Democrats and Hillary Clinton find information to challenge the result, if need be, to challenge the result of the 2016 election.
Okay.
That was his sole purpose.
He was hired specifically to do that, which is what we were accusing. I mean, it was obvious. The thing is when somebody's given a task to do something and you're seeing the results of it, eventually you reverse engineer that.
Right.
And you start to realize, gosh, it almost seems like this guy was hired to do this. Well, now we know this guy was hired to do that.
Right. So all documents, all kinds of information's coming out right now that proves everything we've all been saying for the last 2.5 years, or at least 2 years. GOP is complicit. This goes to the tweet that you showed me about Lou Dobbs. I love me some Lou Dobbs, folks. If there is anybody I love watching, is Lou Dobbs. Well, I got to print it off here.
You got to print it, man. You got me.
As my quote. So Lou Dobbs tweeted out, and I'm saying the GOP is complicit. This falls in line with the whole narrative of follow the money, the whole narrative of the conspiracy.
This was a scathing tweet.
This is conspiracy. It's all conspiracy. And when I say conspiracy, I mean it as these people are conspiring against Donald Trump.
Right. Apparently, Gowdy is a part of the conspiracy, which is so sad.
And I believe it 100% because Gowdy, what has Gowdy actually done?
I mean, Q has said.
Oh, really?
I think that Gowdy he had everybody lined up to go to prison, didn't he? Was it Gowdy? Was it Sessions?
No.
I'm sorry, it was Sessions. Q said that Sessions had everybody lined up to go to prison. But Gowdy,
I guess he was wrong
was
about that.
Gowdy was supposed to do this investigation. And
what happened in Benghazi, Gowdy? Nothing there?
Yeah, the whole thing is a farce. So it turns out the DOJ is doing some really bad things. They have been commissioned by Barack Obama as an outgoing president to overthrow Donald Trump, or at the very, very least, completely undermine every single thing that he does. Don't allow him to do anything.
You got to wreck the economy. Somebody's got to wreck this damn economy because we got to get rid of Trump.
Right. We have to do whatever it takes. All hands on deck. And also, no holds barred. No law should stop you from doing anything to make sure that he is removed from office and endlessly investigated. So Trey Gowdy was supposed to go in and investigate all this lawlessness by the DOJ.
In conjunction with Goodlatte.
Right. And it turns out that we got a report, didn't we? Well, his job is done. He has come to a conclusion on his investigation of the DOJ.
It's completely over.
FBI.
It's totally over, and it happened on Friday.
Remember, we had FBI Gate. Department of Justice is behind all kinds of crazy stuff with regards to this fake Russiagate hoax and the
Peter
coup d'etat.
Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, McCabe, Comey, Bruce Orr, Nellie Orr. All the players involved. Rod Rosenstein invoking the 25th Amendment to overthrow Trump and to remove him from power. So all the stuff that we know of all the hate that they all have for Trump.
So Lou Dobbs sums up its entirety in one single tweet. Perfectly.
He's that good.
He did it perfectly. I don't think I could have done it any more perfectly. So he wrote, GOP investigations led by Gowdy and Goodlatte were hapless and fraudulent, as bad in some cases as the criminals they were pretending to investigate. House probe of anti-Donald Trump FBI DOJ ends with no report.
It's over. There's no bias.
He didn't even have a report.
You know why he didn't have a report, I surmise?
Because he was told not to have a report.
No, they saw what happened to Comey when he put up a report.
Oh, right. Well, I don't think it was a report. Didn't he come up and say?
Well, he had his papers. Like he read it off. Like it was all laid out, and he gave his.
It was an oral argument.
Gave it orally.
Yeah, House Republicans unceremoniously ended their investigation into the way the FBI and Department of Justice handled Hillary Clinton's email scandal and the bias allegations against President Trump. The House probe was led by House Oversight and Government Reform Committee and Judiciary Committee and sought to look into allegations that the FBI and the DOJ were biased against Trump during the 2016 presidential election and favored Clinton's candidacy. This is all known stuff. This is not a secret.
I know. The WikiLeaks is only emails.
What we were hoping was that Gowdy would make it official. That's all we were asking.
Gowdy,
we know what the facts are.
Gowdy, we all know what the facts are, Gowdy.
Just make it official. So the two Republicans chairing the committees, Republicans Trey Gowdy from South Carolina and Robert Goodlatte, Republican of Virginia, said in a letter Friday that the DOJ must appoint a special counsel to investigate the, quote, seemingly disparate treatment of the investigations into Clinton's use of private email and Trump's alleged ties to Russia. The letter came less than a week before Republicans formally lose control of the House to Democrats.
Yeah, I'm done with those.
While both Gowdy and Goodlatte are retiring from politics. Isn't that convenient?
Bye, Felicia. You and also Paul Ryan. Don't let the door hit you on the back end on the way out. And the amount of people that are retiring seems to me to be a little ironic.
Oh, it's not ironic at all. The ones that are retiring are the ones that are seeing the writing on the wall, and they realize that either A, they have no chance of getting reelected because they're not MAGA candidates, or B, they're probably guilty of some crimes.
And if somebody threw them a duffel bag and said, hey, what's your price to walk away from all this?
No, it's not a duffel bag. It's, hey, listen, this right here is going to send you to butt-pounding prison. Or
we call that
or we might be able to rip it.
We call it APP.
APP?
Yeah, APP.
Okay, so this will send you to APP. Or maybe it won't. It's your choice.
Yeah.
All you have to do
just walk
is
away.
resign.
Yep.
You resign, and this little document here that's going to send you to APP will end up in the fireplace over there.
Right.
So what are you going to do? And Trey Gowdy's like, woo, look at the time.
I've overstayed my welcome, y'all.
At the I got to go. By the way, good time to retire. And then that's what comes out.
Peace. You guys enjoy yourself trying to save America.
So as much as I hate giving this guy a free swing at the plate, it gave Adam Schiff a free swing. He tweeted out, "This is how House Republican effort to undermine Mueller by, quote, investigating the investigators ends. Not with a bang, but with a Friday buried in the holiday whimper and 1 foot out the door."
Oh, he's right. Oh, he's 100% right.
I mean, it's true, but it didn't need to end that way. Here's the thing. We know what Mueller's doing. We know what the Department of Justice is doing. We knew what the FBI did. We knew what Hillary Clinton did. We knew what all of them did. All of Comey, Brennan, all of them should be going to prison for the things that they've done. They've brought the entire American government to its knees. We almost lost everything due to lawlessness, the corruption. I mean, we're as corrupt as any banana republic.
Brennan, still to this day, tweeting out all kinds of hate and anger towards Trump. How is not bias?
And now that the one guy that was going to expose all this says, I got nothing, guys.
I got nothing.
Whew, I got to go. Whoa, oh, the bus is leaving. I have got to go. And he's running out the door. It gives Adam Schiff this guy's got to go to prison.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what his angle is, or it's like what is it that you can attain power by getting people to owe you stuff? If you know all the criminal activity that's going on, you can build up your own power by saying, hey, Brian, I know what you did.
That's Rod Rosenstein. Rod Rosenstein built his entire career out of this.
Yeah, well, it goes back to like J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah.
He's always able to stay in power by saying, hey, I know what you did last summer.
Oh, no.
I know what you did last summer.
Oh, no.
And nobody else has to know about it.
Nobody. Okay.
Just as long as you know what I'm doing. And I'm staying in power, and you're going to help me keep it.
Done. All right.
I mean, that's what's going on here. So Trey Gowdy had the manila envelope opened up on him and said, hey, you could retire.
Time to walk away.
And let Adam Schiff tweet out that, ha-ha.
You'll be shamed. But check this out, too, as well. Trey Gowdy releases the non-release on the 28th of December, Friday, where he's cleared his office out and he's gone home. He's never coming back.
Like somebody knocked on his door, and when they did, it wasn't even closed. It wasn't even closed. It went as you were knocking.
Yeah.
And they look in, lights are out.
There's nothing there.
Bare walls.
Everything's
There's not
taken
even
away.
a desk in there.
Nope.
Not even a swivel chair.
Nope.
Like you could hear the echo as you're saying, hello, 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 hello.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
That's exactly what happened. So some good news that's coming out of this whole swamp thing. You guys know we've talked about what happened to Papadopoulos. Papadopoulos went to Europe, was meeting with some people. The Justice Department is trying to set him up to be a fall guy. They were spying on Papadopoulos, George Papadopoulos, who was part of Donald Trump's campaign. In the energy industry, and so the campaign could use that in some way, somehow, as an advisor. Someone gave Papadopoulos. The Papadopoulos setup, FBI, DOJ, and Mueller tried to set him up twice.
Mm-hmm.
In Europe, he received $10,000 cash.
Papadopoulos?
Pappy.
Okay, he received it because he was told he was going to give a speech and they were going to pay him that to give the speech.
Right, in a duffel bag. You know, it's all suspicious. From Charles Tawil.
Tawil.
T-A-W-I-L. Tawil.
Tawil.
Hey, Tawil. All right.
Okay, I don't know.
George felt that Tawil was a Western asset like Mifsud and Halper.
Mifsud
and Halper. And if you guys don't remember, Halper was the guy who originally started the spying on everybody.
Everybody.
Okay. Halper was the one doing the spying. So, Papadopoulos, he left the money in Europe and headed to the airport without the money.
Why?
Something was wrong. Something was amiss. He was very uncomfortable with what's going on.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, would you leave $10,000 in cash?
If I knew he's an international man of mystery. So he could have actually left the money with somebody or something.
Okay. Hey, can you hold this for me? Hey, can you deposit this for me? Whatever.
Something.
Okay.
So he gets to the airport, and there's somebody there waiting for him.
That's a little scary.
Hoping that he had the cash on hand.
Why?
Because, you're funneling money in from outside. You're getting paid, and you're bringing it back to America.
Wait. So what was the person waiting on him trying to do?
Catch him in the act of bringing money in.
So they're trying to set him up for that, and
guess who the guy's name that was waiting for him?
So this was an airport in London?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, and so somebody was there to catch him with the cash.
Red-handed. Because they knew the airline, they was flying.
Just smarter
they knew his ticket, and he is very, very smart.
He's a pretty smart guy. I mean, because we hung out with him for 2 days.
Yeah, so he definitely had a sense something was wrong. He prepped himself, walked away from it, and none other than old Bobby Mueller was waiting at the airport.
It was Robert Mueller.
Robert Mueller at the airport.
It was him. He didn't send an agent.
Nope. That's what I was told. Yep. That's what I was told. The old setup.
Damn.
The old setup.
Could have asked him that when we were hanging out with him.
Well, we're slated to get a hold of him. I texted him Merry Christmas. He texted back, said thanks, bro. And then we were DMing back and forth. So he's cool. We got to wait for the right time because now he's got
who told you that?
He's got a new book out.
Who told you it was Bob Mueller?
I can't say.
Can we ask him to verify?
I believe it. Papadopoulos will verify. Yeah.
Have you texted him yet?
I'm waiting for a response.
Okay. Because that would be interesting to find out it was actually Bob Mueller. But even if it wasn't, it certainly would have been somebody sent there by Bob Mueller.
Right. So here's the thing that's going on now. This guy, Jonathan Corzai. Jonathan Corzai is the kind of the heavy-set round guy, kind of bald, that's being hounded and beat up by the Mueller team. It's so bad. He said in a Fox News interview, he said the FBI harassment is out of control. Corzai tweeted out Friday, December 27th, the U.S. District Judge Leon ordered. Now, this is good news. So he writes, he sues Mueller. Right now, he's going down the same road as Papadopoulos. Mueller's trying to get him under oath and trying to make his life miserable and just destroy him every which way possible. So he files a lawsuit against Mueller, which is hysterical. So because nobody's willing to do this, so he does it. And all of a sudden, breaking news, folks, U.S. District Judge Leon ordered that the hearing on this is Corzai's tweet, $350 million federal lawsuit against Mueller will be heard. On January 3rd, 2019, Judge Leon rejected Mueller and the DOJ's request to postpone because of a partial government shutdown. So, and he says, I plan to be there. Here is the real quick, it's only 32-second clip of, I thought he was bald. He's not bald. But
He got a full head of white hair.
This is white. So here's Jonathan Corzai or Jerome Corzai.
With Trish Reagan.
With Trish Reagan.
Well, Trish, it's fairly shocking. I mean, right now, I've got evidence that the FBI and Mueller's team are now harassing my family. They're doing door knocks on my stepson. They're parking surveillance vans with 2 agents in it outside the places where various members of my family work. I mean, my children have done nothing wrong. My wife, I've been married to for 27 years, and now, but they're going to try to make them criminals. I mean, this is harassing my family is beyond bounds, and I won't stand for it.
Jonathan Corzai, I stand with you, and I hope you make an example to everybody involved. Show Papadopoulos, show Carter Page, show General Flynn that you've got to stand up and you've got to punch back at these wretched bullies, because this is what they threatened General Flynn with by going after and indicting his son.
I agree with you 100%. He should stand and fight. Just to get to the comments section real quick, the same guy that said you should not invest in 401ks because it went down this year say that Corzai's going down too. Morons. Your bus is calling.
Oh, no. It's time to go back to Commie Town. Get on the bus of socialism and go to Commie Town.
We need Social Security.
I know, because
Corzai's going down because he's a Russian agent.
Kerry, we need a social safety net to catch people when they make bad, awful mistakes.
And we need to abolish the stock market because it goes down sometimes and people sometimes lose money.
We need to get rid of the Electoral College, Kerry, because the people voted.
The people need to be heard. They need to be heard.
Our voices. And meanwhile, what about the voices in Illinois, New York, and California? Where are those folks' voices for Republican, screaming for Trump? Those people that voted in California for Trump.
They're being banned from Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, demonetized. Oh, and PayPal and anything that involves any kind of payment processing, totally banned from all that. Just saying.
So, like I've been saying all along, I know Donald Trump has a plan. There's a time and a reason for all of this. He's holding out. You got to wait for the right moment at the right time for things to be released. And Donald Trump tweeted out today, the Mueller angry Democrats recently deleted approximately 19,000 text messages between FBI Lisa Page and her lover, Agent Peter S. These texts were asked for and invaluable to the truth of the witch hunt hoax.
Right.
This is a total obstruction of justice.
Yes, obstruction of justice. Mm-hmm.
All text demanded.
Now, here's the thing. Who's holding the text right now?
Well, technically, the FBI, who claims that they were deleted and we can't retrieve them.
The FBI is part of the Department of Justice, which is a part of the executive branch. Is Trump really ordering it, or is that just a tweet venting? Because he could absolutely make them do it.
I think he's venting.
He needs to make them do it anyway.
So the witch hunt. He's been using the witch hunt word recently and the other day. And the media, when they interview him, they get him to say it because they know something's coming out, Kerry. They know they've got their propaganda video. It's now complete. It's put together, and it's here. So we got to get Trump to say witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt.
Okay.
In the mirror.
In the mirror.
With the lights out, and then what are you saying? That you see the little girl show up, the ghost. When we were little kids,
I don't know.
You're supposed to chant that thing in the mirror, and the little ghost girl shows up.
Oh, I don't know that one.
You never heard that?
I've heard of Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Okay, we'll go with that one for right now because that's a little more popular.
All right.
So they got him to say it, and all of a sudden, CNN comes out with the video.
Witches of the world have a problem with President Trump. Here's Jeannie Mose.
They don't fly on broomsticks. They tend not to be bewitched. By Donald Trump.
I call it a witch hunt. And it is a witch hunt.
Modern-day witches are hard to categorize.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
What kind of propaganda is this?
Witch? I'm a practicing witch. That's how I make my living, yes.
What are they doing?
Which kind of witch are you?
I'm initiated into Wicca, which is the religious side of things.
Witches tend to side with liberals, and you know what they wish President Trump would stop saying about the Mueller investigation?
It's a witch hunt, that's all it is.
The witch hunt, as I call it.
Russian witch hunt. This is a witch hunt like nobody's ever seen before.
The author of Witchcraft Activism calls the president's use of the term
really disgraceful. I mean, thousands of people were executed in Europe on suspicion of witchcraft.
Closer to home, there were the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, because it's all fake.
With the devil. 19 supposed witches were hanged.
There's a lot to be offended by Donald Trump, and I think his use of the term witch hunt is very low on that list of priorities for most witches, but nevertheless, it does demonstrate his ignorance as usual.
The entire thing has been a witch hunt.
But if the president
Are they denying the Salem witch trials?
She said supposed.
I guess he will have to start referring to it as a wild goose chase, but then that might offend geese. The last time witches got mixed up in politics, a losing Tea Party candidate for the Senate had to proclaim,
I'm not a witch.
After having said she dabbled in witchcraft in high school. If there's one...
Oh, they'll get you. They'll get you in high school. High school. They're going to get you. They got the tapes of you laying around somewhere.
Something.
Demographic President Trump hasn't put a spell on. It's witches. They'd rather put a spell on him.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Jeannie Mo, CNN.
And it is a witch hunt.
New York.
This is like an attempt at gaslighting, I think. Like, it makes no sense. I mean, it's almost like calling it McCarthyism and then having communists come out and say, I wish you would stop calling it McCarthyism, because that's really, really low. And really, what are they talking about? The witch hunt refers to people being falsely accused of witchcraft and then being convicted and
burned
executed
at the stake.
for it.
Yeah, burned at the stake.
And so it's actually a pretty good analogy to what is going on. The fact that you happen to actually be a witch is irrelevant. Right. It's irrelevant. Are you not a witch? Are you being accused of it and not being a witch? You're saying you are a witch.
Carrie, I am a witch. And the fact that he says witch hunt is offensive. And I'm a libtard too. She did say most witches are liberals.
Right, and that explains why they sound like complete morons.
Yeah.
Do they not understand? It's like they say they know what a witch hunt means, but then they totally fail to see the obvious analogy. So do they know or not? I mean, when they described it, they were right. It was about all these people being killed in Salem back in the day. And actually, I found out that the witch hunts were worldwide. We just know about the Salem witch trials, but apparently right around the same time, there were a lot of different witches from Europe that were also being accused of and convicted and executed. And I even heard that many more died outside of Salem than within Salem. So the fact that we all remember the Salem witch trials might just be a regional thing.
Yeah, it's here at home.
When it was a lot worse in Europe.
And you're probably not getting news from Europe back then at that time like that. And you're probably not hearing about it right away either. So yeah, I just thought that was really funny. I had to put that in there.
Just shows how there doesn't matter what Democrats or liberals or whatever you want to call them are involved in. As soon as they start talking about it, they expose how incredibly dumb they are. I almost feel like the thing that separates, or the thing that allows, well, I should say the thing that causes people to become Democrats and others to become conservatives might just boil down to
logic?
Intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Logic.
Okay, yeah.
Well, being able to have a functioning logical brain.
Sure, to be able to sit there and say, you know what? Okay, X, Y, and Z. Okay,
X causes Y, Y causes Z.
And I can see how that works out. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm good.
If Y, then X. All that. To be able to do it properly and function logically definitely seems to lean you more to the right.
Yep, I would think so. And social media is at it again, as long as fake news media. Apparently, social media banned Reverend Franklin Graham.
Okay. They banned?
Facebook locked him out for 24 hours.
And for what purpose? Oh, because he's Christian, of course.
Of course.
But a lot of Christians look up to you. What is the Christian response to this kind of censoring? To bring it to the open, should Christians boycott Facebook? What are you recommending or suggesting?
Well, first of all, I accept Facebook's apology, and I appreciate them stepping up and doing that. But I think as Christians, we don't back down, and we don't change who we are and what we say and what we do. We represent the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but by me. All truth is in the Lord Jesus Christ. And I would encourage Facebook and for Christians to stand on God's word and his truth.
But the scary point about this, Reverend, just to close briefly, is that it's not like it was a post you put out yesterday or 2 days ago or 3 days ago.
No.
The admin didn't miss it within 3 or 4 seconds. Someone went back to 2016 and made a decision.
2016.
That's
obsessive.
And this isn't going to be good for Facebook. I would encourage them to look at their standards and their rules and let it be a platform for all ideas. I'm certainly against hate speech. I'm certainly against people using Facebook to incite violence against somebody like that. That's terrible. But just having a different opinion other than somebody at Facebook and then to be labeled as hate speech, that's sad.
Graham, we are really happy you are finally out of Facebook jail.
Yeah, that's really, that just exposes Facebook for what they are. And I don't think that it was even so much a Facebook. You got to really put yourself in the shoes of the inner workings of Facebook. There's just some anti-Christian, a hate-filled person who hates Christianity so much.
It comes from the West Coast, Silicon Valley. You were talking about a godless area.
It could just be one person. And there are, like when I was in Arizona, that there was a lot of liberals and a lot of left-leaning, probably very, very far left-leaning. But there was also Christian churches, and some of them were very radical Christian churches. So even in Silicon Valley, there's probably churches there. But it just so happens that somebody was so obsessed with not just a Christian in general, but Franklin Graham in particular, to start just dissecting every single thing he says and going all the way back to 2016 and saying, oh, that's it. I've had it. And they whipped themselves into a frenzy because they, like with every tweet that post on Facebook that they saw, they were probably getting more and more anger, and their cheeks and their neck was starting to turn red, and the blood vessels were coming to the surface, and steam started coming out of the ears. And finally they get to a post in 2016 where they had whipped themselves into such a frenzy that they said, that's it. I've had it.
It's just like that one.
I'm gonna ban this guy right now.
Just like that guy at the store,
the vape shop.
The vape shop.
Do we have the video?
No, I don't have it cleaned up.
Oh, that's right. It's got so many F-bombs in it.
This guy was this soy boy ran the vape shop, and a Trump supporter with Trump stuff walked in, and the guy went absolutely ape.
That was one of the most perfect videos I've seen, because apparently the guy had the clerk had walked away from the person being kicked out for just long enough so that when he started the video, he actually introduces himself and his location.
Right.
It was almost like the guy was a professional. He's like, I'm here at the blah, blah, blah vape shop. I can't remember the name of it.
It's in Georgia vape shop.
In Georgia.
Tucker, Georgia.
So he almost introduced it as if he was a journalist on scene. He was on scene. And as he it describes what's happening to himself. He said he was getting kicked out for wearing a Trump shirt, a Trump hat. The guy comes running in. It was almost like it was on cue. It was like the whole thing was directed. So that's one of the things that helps make it viral is that the production quality was there.
I will give the guy a heads up. He had what looked like was going to be a win. The soy boys screaming and yelling in the background.
Oh, it's called Vape City.
Yeah, Vape City. Vape City has also locked out their Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Yeah, you got to head yourself first. They also fired the guy.
Okay.
The initial reports that he was fired were under question because when somebody tweeted out that he had been fired, a whole bunch of responses were, yeah, right, it's probably the owner's son or something like that. So there was a lot of confusion. And then finally there was some confirmation that he did in fact get fired. I think the actual company tweeted out, I think Jack Posobiec said, I can confirm that he had been fired. So, and rightfully so, the guy was so verbally abusive. And at one point during the video, he pointed out that he had been
he hit him.
The guy videotaping said, hey, this is how it's going to happen. You get the cops in here, you're getting busted for assaulting me. I got it on videotape and all that. To be honest with you, in the video, you can't tell one way or another whether he was assaulted. However, when he accused the guy of assaulting him, he did not even try to say, I did not assault you. He didn't even say a word, which indicates to me that he probably is accepting the accusation.
So my heads up, next time you do a video, guys,
yeah,
and you get the guy to buckle. Because he was about ready to take his money.
He saw blood in the water.
He's about ready to take his money.
Yeah.
He's about ready to walk out with it. And this would have been a big, big win.
Yeah.
As he's getting the transaction, he's like, yeah, man, capitalism wins every time, fool.
He did do that.
And all of a sudden,
he did do that.
He shut it down. He walked away. He didn't get the product. It was all over with. I said, you should have said that on your walk out. You should have said, capitalism wins.
Here's the thing, though. It was perfect timing because he re-triggered him.
Oh, he did.
And got some more viral content.
And there was a black guy standing there the entire time, quiet. And
I thought it was great because he gets to witness the insanity of another white man being falsely accused, apparently, because he knows it's not whether the guy might or might not be racist, because the fact that he doesn't know him means, hey, anybody could be racist, right? Maybe the guy is racist. But to see another stranger accuse somebody that they don't know at all of racism simply because they're wearing a Trump hat is just... there is a person of color standing there witnessing false accusations flying. So it's kind of interesting that it all gets exposed in front of the people who for whom it would matter the most, right? To think that you live in a world where you're surrounded by people that hate you because of the color of your skin has got to be a little unnerving.
Oh, sure.
But to see the fake news being produced in front of you by some crazy ginger screaming out, "He's racist! I'm sick and tired of these racists being racist around me." And here's a black guy going, what's that? What the hell's going on here? You don't even know this guy. No. All you see is he's wearing a Trump hat and you're just assuming he's a racist. Whatever.
Crazy nonsense, folks. So that went viral. Also, a very, very confused, giant, burly man dressed as a woman went absolutely bonkers when the guy behind the counter referred to him as a him.
Oh.
And he kept screaming, "I'm a man!"
Did you get that one on tape?
Man, that's too many cuss words.
All right.
It's cuss laden.
I just got a new iMac. I'm gonna get you to teach me how to do the beeps. Yeah. I'm gonna work on these things.
It's real simple. It's real simple, but it was just so many, and it was just so much of the.
I mean, not that we have the budget of Fox News. But Fox News played that stuff. Now it was beeped out like crazy.
I mean, the whole thing was like,
a lot of beeps. You have to close caption it also. But of course, with stars. But that way, when you do too many beeps to where the actual context of the sentences are lost, you just do a closed caption. You'd be good to go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll work on it. I'll work on it.
All right, cool. So that was the crazy nonsense. And one other thing, real quick. I follow Bibi Netanyahu on Twitter.
Can we not talk about the crazy misgendered person?
We got to get to the border.
All right, let's get to the border.
I follow Bibi Netanyahu, and I like to look at his tweets and find out what they say. I did not know that Twitter automatically translates foreigners that I'm following to English for me.
You mean without you even knowing it?
Right.
Okay, so let me throw this out at you, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen tweets where there's a link in the tweet that says translate this, which is funny because a lot of times it's English. But
I know, yeah, I've seen that.
Well, it's because they're using like slang, or they might be using a name.
Okay, so there's a little click where you can have it translated.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, is there like a way you can choose between one or the other where you have to,
or maybe I hit
click on
translate so many times that they remember to just go ahead and translate
it. Okay, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Now, I've had an Arabic tweet where somebody makes mention of it.
Yeah.
Either retweets it or somehow it's a tweet of interest to me. And I'll click on translate. And it's funny because it's always kind of broken up because it's not an exact, but whatever.
So Bryony M, BRYONNY, and the letter M, tweeted out to Twitter support and saying, I enjoy reading Bibi Netanyahu's tweets, but I can't anymore because you have stopped translating from Hebrew. Yet one can still translate Arabic tweets. Any responses? # stop the bias.
Interesting. I didn't know that. But
so I saw a tweet today before I saw this of Netanyahu, and it wasn't translated. And I was like, oh, this is weird.
Oh, really?
Why would he do that? I've never seen him.
Because he also does speak and tweet in English a lot. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's how that went down. So it's all right. Trannies be done.
You done with the tranny? Because
I'm done.
The people were talking about in the comments.
Oh, apparently, my wife was telling me, because she follows the Kardashians. My wife is real trendy. She's a clothing designer, kind of trendy girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
she's on top of current events when it comes to pop culture.
And apparently, the Kardashians' father. Damn it!
You just dead named him. No. If you said his real name, well, I just stepped in it because I said real name, but actually real name would be Caitlyn.
Caitlyn. I couldn't get Kyle out of my name. I was thinking Kyle for some reason, but it's a man's. Caitlyn
with
Jenner.
A C,
yeah,
which is kind of weird because all of his daughters
kids are K.
K, right? So anyway,
so apparently Caitlyn's having a lot of mental problems with what she has done to her body.
What has she done to her body?
Well, I know for a fact she got the breast implants.
Oh, okay.
And taking the hormone pills.
Yeah. But hormone pills can be stopped.
Right. I just don't know if you can. I don't know if you can undo the choptodictomy.
Actually, Caitlyn still has.
Oh, because she said she's a lesbian.
Her junk.
Yeah, she said she's a lesbian trapped in a man's body.
She did not.
Yeah. So she still likes women.
Wait, shut up. For real?
Yes.
So it's a woman who used to be a man that
loves women.
To women.
Yes.
That wanted breasts.
Yes.
That will not chop the dictomy.
Yes.
Because of.
Right. So now you got to. It's like, you know what it's like. Have you ever seen that one dude that had so many tattoos on him to make himself look like a cat man? He also put metal studs in his cheeks.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
With fake whiskers that he could screw in.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Imagine going that far and then waking up one day saying, oh, God, what'd I do?
Yeah, I mean, you could do like some things.
He got surgery, split his lip to make it look like a cat.
Well,
did his eyes, everything to make him look like a cat.
Okay.
And now he's like, oh, man,
What's the pronoun for
I don't like
cat?
I don't like cats anymore.
Now, I don't know.
Big step to chop it off. Yes, I would say so from the comment section.
If you're a former man who's now identifying as a woman, but also loves women, you would think that maybe you'd want to keep it? Maybe. But does that make you a man or a woman? What makes you a woman? Is it just in the head?
It makes you mentally confused. You have a mental deficiency. You need to seek psychiatric assistance.
Probably.
And start praying to God about it. God can fix anything. Just saying. Just a heads up. All right.
Somebody said, "What do you mean those people?"
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. No. Okay. So the other big thing in the news this week, the huge thing in the news this week was the border wall. Donald Trump said, I want my $5 billion. And then numbers flying everywhere. Mexico's getting $150 billion just for help and aid. South America getting billions of dollars for help and aid. Donald Trump is cutting all of that off.
He should. Absolutely.
So he's cutting all that aid off. And because there's also now another 15,000 migrant caravan coming up again, another one coming, build the wall, shut down, it passed the House, which Nancy Pelosi dared him to do it. So he did it. It passed the House. The Senate did not use the nuclear option. The Senate did not use the nuclear option, go 51 votes. So that's not Lindsey Graham. Mitch McConnell. It was Mitch McConnell's job to push that thing through, and he didn't do it. They had an opportunity, last-minute opportunity before shutdown was December 27th.
Well, they're just going to shut it down.
And now it's shut. The government shut down and a partial fake shutdown.
Right. Well, anything that's been funded for X amount of months, that doesn't go away.
You don't get your money taken away from you.
Right. So for instance, there's certain things. I think you were telling me that a family member who's in the deep state is funded for like 9 months. So
I don't know what the time frame for that is.
I think I heard from somebody 9 months. I thought that you said it, but I did hear somebody say 9 months.
Okay.
So certain departments are funded for many, many months from today. That being said, they have their funding for the next 9 months, let's say, if that applies to you. So the shutdown will not affect you unless it's shut down for the whole 9 months, at which time you don't get paid anymore.
Okay, so as time goes on, different departments will fall down.
Absolutely. So initially, hardly anything is being affected.
Right.
Now, this is very important that you need to know. You need to get your head wrapped around it, and you need to be mentally prepared to accept what's happening and to fight back when it does. The deep state is going to collude with the Democrat Party to make this as painful as possible. And they're going to make it as sensational as possible.
Well, there are polls now that are being touted by CNN, MSNBC, and CBS, and ABC. 1,000% of Americans believe that it's Trump's fault and not Schumer.
Well, let me tell you, it's going to be lots of theatrics. So first and foremost, if it's something that you can see or visit or even look at while on vacation, they're going to put giant, huge red tape.
You remember when Obama did that? And he shut down the Vietnam Memorial and the veterans couldn't visit their own memorial.
They paid money to put up the big fencing so that you couldn't walk up to an open air place.
They paid for the fencing to shut it down.
Oh yeah, they put giant fencing up that they would not have had on hand. They would have had to go and pay for. So they found money to get the big giant the fencing that it's about 4 feet high or whatever that interlocks with it to crowd control.
Crowd control, yeah.
Surrounding the World War II memorial, they had veterans fly in for their honor flight in order to see the Veterans Memorial. And of course, World War II veterans were like, I stormed the beaches of Normandy. You be damned if this little piece of metal fence is going to stop me. And they literally stormed the fences. And rightfully so. I would have done the same. I'd have been like, dare you to arrest me.
Right.
Dare you to arrest me.
Right.
But here's the thing. It's not like they have to go into a previously fenced off area. or in an inaccessible protected area or in a building. It's an open air. If you've ever been to the Vietnam War Memorial, it's just in the middle of everything. It's like a public place.
World War II?
Oh, well, the Vietnam War Memorial is I don't know where the World War II memorial is, but I do know that was open air too. You don't go into an area.
Gotta shut it down.
Yeah, so they put giant fencing around that. So that's one thing. There's national parks.
Oh, and
they're closing national parks.
And he also Obama shut down the White House visits. You couldn't tour the in order to tour the White House, you got to plan that out months in advance. And Obama shut all White House tours down. Just didn't have the money for it. And Trump opened them back up.
Okay.
I mean, it's maximum amount of pain inflicted on the people. We need you to feel pain because then that'll arouse emotions.
So somebody said only stupid people build walls or are trying to build walls. Do you live in one of those open air
houses
with the roof?
Yeah, open air house.
I don't know what they're called, but you see them in parks sometimes where they have the park benches underneath them.
Oh, you're talking about the shelter.
Yeah.
Like shelter
open air
one,
shelter.
Open air shelter, shelter one, shelter two.
If you don't live in an open air shelter, you just called yourself stupid. You literally just called yourself stupid.
Because you live in a house or an apartment with walls.
Yeah. So if you built that, or if you decided, I want to move in that. Why do I want to move in that? Because it has walls and it has a door and I can close that door and I can lock that door. If you don't live in an open air shelter, you just called yourself dumb.
You gotta understand, man. Walls make great fences, make great neighbors. Walls make great
Well, not
countries.
only that, but they also offer protection.
Lots of protection.
Do you not know why you live in a building with walls?
So real quick, this was tweeted out by the GOP at GOP from October 2017 through August 2018. So that's 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Border Patrol in 9 months seized 6,423 pounds of cocaine, 532 pounds of heroin, 439,531 pounds of marijuana, 10,382 pounds of methamphetamines, and 332 pounds of fentanyl.
That's stuff
in
that kills you.
9 months.
Yeah, they said that enough of the fentanyl's coming over from Mexico, from the southern border, to kill every single human being in America.
They're working at it. We've got a good friend from church who's he even stopped coming to church. We talked to his wife and we work with her and her kids and stuff. But dude's ate up with it. He can't shake it, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, and gone from heroin to now. Apparently, I guess meth is even worse because he's become some paranoid psycho freak. He called the cops on himself because he said that there were people inside his house. They couldn't get him out.
Man,
the cops showed up and there wasn't nobody there.
Man, I hope that guy can find help. I
pray about it all the time, man. You know him.
I know him?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got to pray about it. Because for people that get out of that, you got to recognize and you got to want it. I don't know what else to say, but it's destroying families. Absolutely wrecking families, folks. The tens of thousands of overdoses, the deaths, the hundreds of millions of dollars it's costing cities nationwide for the injection thing for the OD on heroin. There's cities here and just outside of Cincinnati that said, don't come to our town. We don't have the money anymore, and we didn't buy those the EpiPens to save your life.
Wow.
Don't come here. Crazy nonsense. So anyway, Nancy Pelosi takes off to a 4,000 room a night hotel in Hawaii to vacation, not to talk to Trump, not to make a deal, not to nothing. Chuck Schumer out on hiatus, not talk to Trump, not do nothing. Trump made a point, stayed in the White House the entire time, dug in his heels and said, I will not budge. Then he got support from Lindsey Grahamnesty and said to Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats, No wall money, no deal. Okay. All right. I'm with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay the course. Not only that, it's gone so far now. It really has gone so far that if Trump reversed course in any form or fashion,
then it'll look like such a major loss for him.
And I actually like this. I like that the further this goes, the more likely Trump wins.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe, am I biased? Brian would be biased too if I'm biased. We're both biased if this is the case. But I feel like this whole situation has Trump at such an advantage over them. I'm trying to put myself in the position of a Democrat where I would see the same situation and be like, oh man, Pelosi and Schumer's got him right where they want him. I don't know. I'm not really seeing it. It seems like Trump has a big advantage here because, first of all, I don't see much pain yet. How long is this going to go? How long is it going to be shut down before we start to see the kind of pain where they might be able to say, come on, Trump, you got to open it back up, man. You got to sign this spending bill. How far does it have to go to get there? And we're seeing the pain from an open border. We have this, I'll tell you what. This is something that is just the most heartbreaking thing that I've seen. And
before you get to that, real quick, Nancy Pelosi, they're saying right now, Nancy Pelosi is holding the weight on Chuck Schumer because she has the power, wields the money, runs the show.
Well, Schumer is the senator and Pelosi is the congresswoman, and she's the one. Congress has to initiate the spending stuff.
Right. And so her election for Speaker of the House is the 3rd of January, just a couple days away. So they're saying there's no way she'd ever do a deal because she wants her speakership. She desperately wants the power back as House Speaker because she was the Speaker. She knows what she had.
Right.
And she desperately wants it back.
And a lot of Democrats are saying, we really don't want to, but she's definitely strong-arming a lot of the people in the Democrat Party in order to be – in fact, she's said, well, listen, I'll just do just the 4 years. Just the 4 years.
She just let me slip in.
Just 4 years. I will step down after 4 years. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the gift that keeps on giving if that happens. But
you're saying a bad case, huh? Ooh.
Yeah.
Put some cream on that.
Well, because she's crazy.
The truth.
She's completely off her rocker. And every time the cameras are on her, she's going to be the face of the Democrat Party. I'll take it. So in her district, we have a cop who is a hero, Ronald Singh, Corporal Ronald Singh, in Nancy Pelosi's area in California. He is an immigrant. He is a legal immigrant.
Oh, you mean he came here the way that we all want immigrants to come?
Yeah, he's a legal immigrant, and we are totally for legal immigration. So he is legal, and I should say he was legal. He is an officer, law enforcement officer. He had a beautiful wife, young wife, and a looked like a newborn baby.
5 months.
5-month-old baby, beautiful baby, was taken from us, slain by a illegal immigrant. And now, and here's the thing. Illegal immigration proponents, people who advocate for illegal immigration, open borders and whatnot, they'll say, well, yeah, sure, he got killed by an illegal immigrant, but cops get killed by illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, and American, natural born. It's just a stats thing. And for you to call out that it's an illegal immigrant is just playing politics with the slain officer. Hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. This gentleman who killed this legal immigrant, who's a law enforcement officer, is in a sanctuary city.
In a sanctuary state.
In a sanctuary state.
That makes a big difference, I'll tell you in a minute.
And has been busted for drunk driving multiple times.
At least twice that we know of. At least twice.
He's also involved with some gang activity. and is considered a multiple felon, all these kind of bad things. All the things that would get you deported instantly.
Or at least you be reported to ICE. But because
that's how you get deported.
But because you live in a sanctuary state, Governor Jerry Brown, you are not allowed as law enforcement. It is illegal for you as law enforcement to report this to ICE.
Right. That's what a sanctuary city means. A lot of people are confused by what it means to be a sanctuary city. So you're actually defying federal law by ordering your local law enforcement to not report on the illegal status of your local residents, regardless of what laws they're breaking. So they're allowing these criminals to come in, and they're allowing them to stay after breaking other laws. So drunk driving, gang activity, whatever it may be, felonies, whatever. When you're done processing them, you don't tell ICE. You get it on purpose. You purposely do not let them get deported because you want to keep them. And then this person finally gets pulled over after drinking up a storm. So he's drunk driving again, gets pulled over by our hero, Officer Singh, and decides, I ain't going down like that tonight.
Not tonight.
Decides that the proper way to handle this is to go ahead and murder the cop. And he does, and he goes on the run. And when he's on the run, and while there's this massive manhunt for this cop killer, this illegal immigrant, this cop killer, guess what? He has a whole bunch of illegal immigrant family members and friends who are all openly covering for him.
Aiding and abetting.
They know what he did, and they know that they're after him. They know there's a manhunt, and they cover for him. So all these people who are only there because of the sanctuary status of their city and state are making this all possible. All of this, Officer Singh would be alive today if it were not for the criminals in these in the leadership of these sanctuary cities and these sanctuary states. If they were to not make it a sanctuary city, he would have been deported a long time ago because he had been breaking all kinds of laws. He's not just illegal because he jumped the border fence. See, that's what these people are trying to say. Oh, illegal's not, that's dehumanizing. We don't call them illegal. We call them undocumented. You have a family member that tried to pull that off, and I didn't want to get into a knockdown drag out, but I was extremely insulted by a family member that I love saying that, no, we don't call them illegal. I prefer undocumented. No, they're illegal, but check this out. I get it. I get when you say they only broke that one law. So let's just overlook that and say, and not dehumanize them and say they're an undocumented worker. That's not the case with this guy. This guy not only broke the law by jumping the border, and all of his friends and family jumping the border who ended up aiding and abetting this criminal, but he also is a multi-time drunk driver and is involved with gang activity. The guy is illegal in more ways than just immigration. And yet we get to keep him because we do not report those people to ICE. And guess what? We have a fallen hero, a law enforcement officer who no longer get to have a husband, no longer get to have a father for all time.
Yeah, this baby, I think it was a girl, looked like a girl. This girl will grow up her entire life without a father.
And somebody just pointed out, and I don't mean to take your train of thought, but I got to address this. Somebody says, LOL, he was shot with an illegal gun too. Lawsuit against the NRA. First of all, I just want to point this out because I'm going to use logic here. I'm not going to get emotional about such an ignorant statement. I'll just use logic.
And then I'll step back because I was going to name call. I won't do that.
Check this out. There's no such thing as an illegal gun because we live in a country with a Second Amendment that gives us the God-given right to bear arms. So when you say illegal gun, that's unconstitutional. Any state, any city, any locality. And by the way, some people say, well, that's federal. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights is federal. Locals allowed to make guns illegal. No, there's a supremacy clause. Any local, state, city, county law that violates the Bill of Rights by supremacy clause is also illegal. So there's no such thing as an illegal gun. We have the Second Amendment, which makes you wrong about that. And by the way, the NRA is irrelevant about that. It's irrelevant. The NRA does not give us the right to bear arms.
No, the NRA is there as an organization to help protect our rights.
Right.
To keep our Second Amendment right that protects our First Amendment right.
So that is your civics lesson for today.
Now, if he stole the gun from a gun shop, the gun still isn't illegal. Like the gun didn't do anything illegally. The guy stole the gun.
Right.
Now, he may be illegally in possession of the gun, but regardless, it has nothing to do with the NRA or the actual physical gun itself.
Do you happen to have the clip of the police officer at the who pointed out it was the
this guy?
Press conference? Yeah, we got to hear what he had to say. So this is the police chief who would have been the boss of Officer Singh, who was slain by this illegal immigrant.
Warning, the darker gentleman in the background, that is the slain officer's younger brother.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of cries a little bit in the background because he was told, Christmas Day. So now every Christmas, this is what he's going to answer. So just to let you know. All right, here's officer.
Of course it's being politicized. The last thing in the world I want to do is politicize the death of Officer Singh. But let's go back to Ron. An immigrant. Immigrated here lawfully and legally to pursue his American dream. He achieved that goal. And his dream was taken from him. No, we shouldn't politicize it, but we have to have a conversation about restrictive legislation that puts our communities at risk.
Oh, there was more to it. He points out, he blames the officials, the city officials and state officials who had made his city a sanctuary city.
I thought I had that one. No, I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah.
I apologize.
He points out that they are to blame for this man's death, this hero's death. And it's true. It's absolutely true.
All right, here's the younger brother talking about his older brother.
Please bear with me. This is not easy for me. Reginald Singh was my older brother. Yes, he's not coming back, but there's a lot of people out there that misses him. And a lot of law enforcement people that I don't know don't work days and nights to make this happen. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart to make this happen. I wish I could thank all the law enforcement agencies, Homeland Security in San Francisco, everyone, Bakersfield team. I was waiting for this to happen. I'd like to thank you, working day and night to make this happen. Thank you.
He's thanking law enforcement for working so diligently to apprehend this guy, this monster.
Yeah, he was
monster
actually
on the run.
On the run for quite some time. I actually improperly, because I was confused by the way some people were tweeting about it, I actually wrongfully tweeted out that he had been captured because it was pointed out that he was an illegal immigrant and that they knew who it was. I improperly I misunderstood. I thought that they had captured him. And it wasn't until like a whole extra 24 hours or more until they finally captured him. So I actually had a fake news tweet for a second there.
I'll turn the sound off on that. It's okay.
Oh, okay. So what Brian is showing here in the corner over there is a video of the funeral procession of Officer Reginald Singh, and man, I'm really happy to see this, that they just decide. A big part of this is the chief.
For audio only, describe that. For people listening.
It is all the way to the horizon. You see not only cop cars with their lights on, but a giant formation of cops on the motorcycles, the motorcycle cops, all the way to the horizon. There's like a little hump way back in the background. It looks like at least a mile. And I honestly, if I was the chief, I would have said, I want every single vehicle we have out there, and I dare the mayor to try to pull any of us back or anything like that. And it looks like they did that. There's so many cop cars, and some of them might be from like adjoining counties and municipalities.
So it's a 3-lane freeway, and everybody is pulled off the side of the road. And then people on the other side of the freeway, the other 3 lanes, they're pulling over because, I mean, that had to have
been. There was somebody on the side of the highway walked out into the slow lane and saluted. So he's standing there with a salute as they go by. And I honestly wish that this would happen in every single sanctuary city in honor of Ron Singh, because this happens and can happen and continue to happen and will continue to happen as long as these dumbass mayors like our John Cranley in Cincinnati, moron, doesn't care a lick about any of us in the city who are legal citizens and just want to provide sanctuary for the law breaking of illegal immigrants. Just doesn't care. Really misguided, really careless for the people who vote for him, who are here legally, legal immigrants, regular, natural-born citizens and everything. Just a real slap in the face to all of us, a slap in the face to law enforcement. Because here's the thing. If you get pulled over for a drunk driving incident, you're really going to be not happy about that. You're going to go down probably maybe fired from your job. Maybe you will have a little bit of jail time. You're probably going to lose your license. But if you're an illegal immigrant, you're being threatened with being deported, which is a major – I think that is a more major thing than just experience what you have to experience for being pulled over for a DUI, right? So I think that there is much higher probability for violence in that situation. Being pulled over as an illegal immigrant, being at that point you're being threatened with being deported out. So the sad thing is he's in a sanctuary city, so it would not have happened.
Right.
But just the thought that it could happen shows that this needs to stop. They need to have a major crackdown on illegal immigration, period.
So Thomas Douglas, the former acting director of U.S. of ICE, I had a video for him, but he pointed out it's California law. He absolutely destroys this whole thing out in California. California law, need to build the wall. Kirstjen Nielsen, she's going to the border. And the question was, is any of this her responsibility for the young kid, the young child that died in DHS protection? And he absolutely blasts the woman, says no, not whatsoever. DHS and our Border Patrol, they're doing everything they possibly can with arresting hundreds of thousands a year. 365 days a year, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, and here's the thing. That's another thing where they're trying to propagandize you with fake news. Now, people die, right? All ages. If you look it up on Google, type in mortality rates for different demographics, different age groups and stuff like that. And I learned something really eye-opening and shocking. And I mean, I have a different outlook on things, and I can spot fake news when people are trying to do it to me more easily this way. I remember right after the Vegas shooting, there was a rash of deaths of the survivors after the shooting was over. It was like a half dozen, then 8 or 9 of the survivors of the Vegas shooting that died of mysterious things. There was a car wreck where like 2 of them died. There was like random violence where somebody ended up dying. Somebody died of some sickness. And it caused the conspiracy theorists to say, oh my gosh, they're trying to get rid of the people that know the truth about the Vegas shooting. So I was like, gosh, that's weird. Like 8 people or so or whatever are dead that were survivors of the Vegas shooting. This is really strange. And so finally I looked up. I said, you know what? Let's find out if this is higher than what is expected.
And come to find out?
Well, there's 22,000 or so people that survived the shooting. I guesstimated the demographic of the people who attended the concert. So it'd be anywhere from like 18 to 35 or 18 to 40. That sounds like about the right demographic for the people that would show up to a country and western music festival. And it turns out that the number of people who died in the 6-month period following the shooting compared to the mortality rate of that age group was right on schedule.
Somebody just said something about how many children died under Obama. Probably the same amount that has died now.
The same rate.
Because Obama didn't kill them. Trump didn't kill them. We're talking about Americans that work for law enforcement on protecting the border and DHS.
Oh, I was thinking of like the little girl that died under custody of ICE or whatever.
Well, yeah, but dehydration, coming across the desert.
Right, people,
come on, man.
People die.
Women and children and grandparents are at a higher risk of death on some kind of stressful track.
Absolutely.
That's why you don't see the father dying, because he's a strong, healthy man. But real quick, we're out of time. We're totally out of time.
Oh, we went over.
Let me run this down since we went over already.
Sorry about that. I was totally not looking at the time.
Good things that Trump had done. Joe Dan Gorman, intellectual frog legs, put this out. And just like that, the media quit talking about the stock market. 1,000-point rally, largest day ever. Trump's gotten 66 judges confirmed this year compared to Obama's 49. Trump eliminated 22,000 pages of regulations allowing free flow of energy. Gas in Oklahoma and Texas about $1 to $2 a gallon. North Korea talks still on. Soldiers' remains returned from North Korea. Trump signs first step criminal justice reform act. Trump signs USMCA trade agreement replacing NAFTA. Trump's approval rating hits 51%. Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch. Trump shrinks the government by 16,000 jobs since the election, cuts $300 million aid to Pakistan, $200 million aid to Palestine, $323 million aid to rebuild, cuts it to rebuild payments to Syria. U.S. Embassy moved to Jerusalem, signs order calling for work requirements for welfare programs, food stamp usage declines 8 straight months. Tax cuts, middle class income rises the highest on record. Record unemployment for everyone. America is now the world's largest oil producer. Fastest growing pace in 14 years for manufacturers. Trump cuts thousands of regulations for fiscal 2019. Agencies across the government have been directed to cut $18 billion in regulatory costs. Hospitals to put prices online. New Trump administration rule starts January 1st. All hospitals have to now update and maintain prices of services online. And yes, folks, Donald Trump just legalized hemp. I told you it was coming. Hemp. I'm just saying. Make it happen.
I'm trying to write patreon.com/SmithRadio. Make sure you guys are supporting us, supporting all of your favorite new media. For us, it's patreon.com/SmithRadio, and you will become a part of our party in our text group. So definitely do that. So patreon.com/SmithRadio.
And if you have any questions, just go over to smithradio.com.
Bam. All right, guys.
Fast 3 hours you spend anywhere. Share it with your friends and family.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.